At a home in Lake Barrington, fentanyl was a contributing drug. Detectives determined Luke Napolitano sold the victim drugs the day before his death. A Wisconsin woman working as a suburban spa worker is charged with prostitution. Zia Pingmei was arrested last week at the Vivi Spa in Elburn after an undercover officer entered the business for a massage and received a solicitation. No one hurt after a helicopter crashes onto Cedar Lake in northwest Indiana. Police say the aircraft hit the water and spun out of control. The pilot and passenger were able to get out and swim to shore. The helicopter was later pulled from the water. Well, Lake County, Illinois, and Randolph County in southern Illinois both have their bears. Now, apparently, so does suburban Milwaukee. The Waukesha County bear is apparently on the move. Folks in the town of Ottawa say they saw the bear Sunday evening. Both the county sheriff and the DNR in Wisconsin believe it's the same bear that's made appearances in 3 other communities, including New Berlin. This is the 3rd bear sighting in Waukesha County since May. The NL Central is now officially up for grabs after the Cubs blanked the Pirates 8-0 in their series opener at PNC Park. Mike Tauchman went 3 for 5 with 3 RBI.
Putting him at the top, really our offense has started going since his presence up there. I don't know, just a calm at bat. He's got some experience. He, feels like he controls the strike zone really well.
Skipper David Ross, just 3 1/2 games separate the Reds, Brewers, Pirates, and Cubs in the NL Central. Story not the same for the White Sox. They waste a pair of late scoring opportunities and a 5-2 loss to the Rangers at guaranteed rate. The news, a service of Dan and Amy 24/7, around the clock, all day, every day. Dan and Amy 247.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka says we are under attack.
Does that America still exist today? I believe it does. I believe outside of the metropolis, outside of the bi-coastal elite, it does exist. But it is endangered. It is threatened primarily by the internal threat, is perhaps the preeminent one today.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
So I figured turning 65, I'd try Balance of Nature to see why not, give it a shot. And it's absolutely changed my life. I'm going to cry. I have more energy now than I did when I was in my 40s. It's brought back my life to me, and it's given me the energy that I was so missing, and I wasn't enjoying life because of it, and now I am. So I just wanted to thank Dr. Doug for everything he's done with this, and truly it has changed my life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Visit Dennis Prager. Sign up today for an unforgettable experience in Israel this October. Mike Gallagher and I are traveling to the Holy Land on the Stand with Israel tour with our trusted partner, Inspiration Cruises and Tours. This trip of a lifetime to Israel is one you don't want to miss. Register today before it's too late at standwithisraeltour.com, standwithisraeltour.com, or call 855-565-5519. 855-565-5519.
You can't live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties to set their legacies in stone. A prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
5:11. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Verizon. You better make that next turn into a Verizon store, cause My Plan from Verizon is the kind of control we all deserve. Get My Plan at your Verizon store today. Eden's candidate Ike, all off on time. Stevenson, he'll hit the brakes. Ashland into the Dan Ryan. Ryan itself at 15 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. They're clearing an accident, 8094 eastbound, approaching Calumet Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist Steve Williams.
Today, mostly sunny skies, high 83. It'll be clear tonight, low 63. And then sunny, warm day tomorrow, the high at 87. Thursday, a partly sunny day, the high at 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
61 at O'Hare. It is 60 along Chicago's Lakefront. 59 at DuPage Airport. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
For an experience at the dentist that's more like going to a spa, meet Dr. Luma at North Shore Dental Group. Preventative and cosmetic dentistry for the entire family.
Hi, I'm Dr. Luma. I welcome you to come to North Shore Dental Group and let us show you what it's like to enjoy going to the dentist. You'll be greeted at reception by our friendly staff and will be comfortable not only in our waiting rooms, but in our luxurious and comfortable private rooms. We use all state-of-the-art equipment, and you can enjoy TV while we're working and just relax. We use laser dentistry when needed for less pain. You'll have a faster recovery time and quicker healing. We welcome you to have an amazing experience at the dentist.
Dr. Luma is accepting new patients now, and for a limited time, new patient exams with full mouth x-rays are only $59.99. Call 847-292-8200 or Google Dr. Luma. That's L-U-M-A. North Shore Dental Group. A lifetime of healthy smiles.
Are you looking for an interview podcast where you can be entertained and informed? Come check out our new podcast, America's Talking, to hear conversations with great stand-up comedians like Mark Normand.
Or made you feel smarter than him, even though he was smarter than you.
As well as with leaders in the United States, like former Ambassador Andrew Bremberg.
I remember the fall of the evil empire. When the wall fell, every adult I saw was crying.
I'm your host, Austin Berg, and I want you to join the conversation on our new podcast, America's Talking, right now on Spotify.
Are you looking for a new podcast where you can get your national news from a taxpayer's perspective? Check out the America in Focus podcast featuring the Center Square's Dan McCaleb.
This jobs report, in some ways, it contradicts what I'm seeing anecdotally.
And Casey Harper.
And it's not just the economy. He has a 28% approval on the economy, but he also has 36% approval on foreign policy.
Find America in Focus wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe. That's America in Focus, a news podcast from a taxpayer's perspective.
Ever notice how most people never leave online reviews unless they're really mad? And they want the entire world to know how bad their experience was. Rick from Forever Remodeling here, and we average 4.8 stars on 144 Google reviews. I know what you're thinking. Sure, 132 people gave you 5 stars, but what about those 12 who didn't? Glad you asked. 3 of them are 1-star reviews from people we never even did business with. Most of the rest are 4-star reviews from people who loved us and said things like, "We are thrilled and would recommend Forever Remodeling to anyone." So why only 4 stars? One customer sums it up, "I only gave 4 stars because I never give 5. Fair enough, I guess. Google foreverremodeling.com and see for yourself. The reviews are all right there. We do kitchens, baths, basements, whole homes, and additions. Check us out at foreverremodeling.com or call 847-809-3355. That's foreverremodeling.com.
You don't need to starve yourself to achieve a healthy weight. Candace Rosen's latest book, Forget Dieting, eliminates the guesswork about weight loss. As the pioneer in glucose monitoring for weight loss and improved health, Candace Rosen believes the pancreas is the gatekeeper of poor health versus good health, weight loss versus weight gain. Whether tuning in or testing your blood glucose 90 minutes after you eat a meal or snack, you can leave dieting behind for good. Get the book today and start feeling better tomorrow. That's Forget Dieting at Barnes & Noble or Amazon. Candace Rosen believes in the practice of self-health. You are your primary caregiver, and your physician is just your secondary caregiver. Remember, it's never about the weight. It's about what excess weight represents, present or future poor health. Food is medicine. Forget Dieting. It's all about data-driven fueling. Order Forget Dieting. Available at Barnes & Noble or Amazon.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Great Britain's National Health Service has just banned the use of puberty blockers for treating gender dysphoria, noting they're just not reversible. Apparently, Britain shares the misgivings about so-called gender-affirming treatment for minors expressed already by Sweden, Finland, Norway, and France. Increasingly, the U.S. medical community is an outlier in its enthusiasm for medicalizing and performing life-altering surgeries on vulnerable children. It's dismaying that socialized health systems have led the way in protecting minors. The benefit of a private system is that it puts citizens, rather than government, in control of healthcare. How awful if instead fragile children are being pushed to make irreversible choices at tender ages to advance a sexual and moral agenda while putting fat profits in drug companies and surgeons' pockets. Not only would it violate the Hippocratic Oath, it would confirm the left's darkest suspicions of capitalism. We need to pull back.
Retirement planning can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Tune in to Retirement and Income Radio, hosted by well-known Chicagoland financial educator Mark Kohler. Mark helps listeners in or near retirement protect their savings from market volatility while creating lifetime guaranteed income. Listen to Retirement and Income Radio Sunday afternoons at 3:30 on AM 560 The Answer, or call Mark now at 844-619-SAFE.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, former President Trump sat down with our friend Brett Baer yesterday evening on his special report program, as we previewed he would on Friday. And the topics were mainly the classified document case against the former president, and also lessons learned from his first term. What would he do differently if he were in the Oval Office again? That's where it started.
I would like to be less combative, but I find the press is extremely dishonest. And if I'm not combative, I don't get my word across. If I'm not combative, I don't know. I don't think you could win. I think regardless, me or somebody else, if somebody else got the nomination, these radical left maniacs would come after them at a level like you've never seen before, and they're not going to be able to withstand it. Our country is sick. It's sick.
All right, so lessons learned from the first term, what he would like from the second term. He would like to be less combative, but he's not going to be able to be.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Baer tried again. Any changes forthcoming if you were reelected?
This stuff shouldn't happen.
So what changes would you make?
Strong people, strong government. You know, when I came down to Washington, I was in Washington 17 times in my life in D.C., and I never stayed overnight. I was never there. I didn't know the people. I didn't know that world, other than I was involved in politics from the other side very much. And I put great people in, but I put some people like Bill Barr and Bolton and a few of them that, you know, actually Bolton was good because every time I negotiated, people said, oh, they've got this maniac here. He's going to go to war with us, and they'd concede every point. I mean, it was actually pretty good in a certain way. But we put people in that were great, and we put people in that weren't. I now know Washington probably better than anybody. I know the good ones and the bad ones, and we will have really great, strong people. I already know who they are, but we will have really great, strong people.
There's not a lot of strong, great people left, are there? I mean, he touted his ability to hire. He defended his ability to hire great people, but who's left?
17 times he was to D.C. before he was elected president. It's very specific. He remembers all 17 vividly, apparently.
Yeah.
So he's going to be, he wants to be less combative, but that's not going to happen because of the press. He doesn't want to hire bad people like Bill Barr. But what is going to prevent him from making the same mistakes he made if you say Bill Barr was a mistake, which, by the way, I do not. To me, unsurprisingly, it doesn't sound like much would change, both in terms of his mannerisms or how he makes decisions. I don't know where people stand on that. Frankly, if the Trump supporter really is looking for much change, I think, he is a blunt instrument, and these are times that call for a blunt instrument. Is how the argument goes. Bill Barr, he took out after Bill Barr a couple of times. Bill Barr is not a coward.
No.
Bill Barr was not a poor personnel decision. There were other poor personnel decisions, but I mean, unsurprisingly, there's not much accountability for Trump for the problems that beset his administration. A lot of them were brought from the outside. A lot of them were external. He's clearly right about the D.C. press corps and about our larger culture. There's no question about that, and the assaults that come from every direction. But in many instances, he didn't help himself much. He was his own worst enemy, and he was unable to distinguish between friends and enemies.
Well, aren't
and
his friends his enemies?
Are poor qualities.
I mean, his list. Rex Tillerson, Mick Mulvaney, John Kelly, Mike Pence, Nikki Haley, Mike Pompeo, John Bolton, Bill Barr, Elaine Chao, Mitch McConnell's wife. You know, he's just made snide comments about all of them. Who's left for him to surround himself with?
There's a lot of people. That's hardly an exhaustive list of the talent that exists in America. But the point is, when does he turn on individuals, and what does he reflect upon with respect to those individuals and the choices he made? So, he turns on people when they turn on him or they do something he doesn't like. I understand that. But to call Bill Barr in particular an enemy or a coward, which is what he called him, it just rubs me the wrong way. I'm sort of tired of listening to it. You can disagree with Bill Barr in particular instances, but Bill Barr wasn't some cake eater who showed up to D.C. and was unwilling to put in the fight. And just to focus on him for a second, because I think it speaks to one of the flaws in Trump's character. This is Bill Barr speaking at Notre Dame, hardly an institution of conservatism these last several generations, you may have noticed. This was a couple years ago, talking about our culture. Bill Barr is an intellect, but he's not averse to street fighting within the confines of the law. And he had Trump's back on any number of instances, including his unequivocal commentary on the Russian collusion hoax. Bill Barr at Notre Dame.
So the founders decided to take a gamble, and they called it a great experiment. They would leave the people broad liberty, they would limit the coercive power of the government, and they would place their trust in the self-discipline and virtue of the American people. In the words of Madison, we have staked our future on the ability of each of us to govern ourselves. And this is really what they meant by self-government. It did not mean primarily the mechanics by which we select a representative legislature. It referred to the capacity of each individual to restrain and govern themselves. But what was the source of this internal controlling power? In a free republic, those restraints could not be handed down from above by philosopher kings. Instead, social order must flow up from the people themselves, freely obeying the dictates of inwardly possessed and commonly shared moral values. And to control willful human beings with an infinite capacity to rationalize, Those moral values must rest on authority independent of men's wills. They must flow from the transcendent supreme being. In short, in the framers' view, free government was only suitable and sustainable for a religious people, a people who recognized that there was a transcendent moral order antecedent to both the state and to man-made laws, and had the discipline to control themselves according to those enduring principles. As John Adams put it, we have no government armed with the power which is capable of contending with human passions unbridled by morality and religion. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate for the government of any other. And as Father John Courtney Murray observed, the American tenet was not that free government is inevitable, only that it is possible, and that its possibility can be realized only when the people as a whole are inwardly governed by the recognized imperatives of the universal moral order.
So that's not the stuff for, campaign rallies, I understand. But it's important to note when people demonstrate a profound understanding of the underpinnings of this country and, by extension, a free society. And Barr possesses that understanding. And by the way, President Trump could take a cue from those words that you heard from Bill Barr there in terms of regulating your own passions. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. John in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Barr could give an eloquent speech, but the thing I didn't like about Barr is results were not given. With this Russia collusion hoax, there was nobody held accountable. Durham's report took way, way too long. That should have been done quicker. And it's the results that matter. And I think that's what Trump really is about, is getting results done. He's result-driven. Now, granted, I do dislike some of his tactics. I wish he was more Reagan-esque, using humor and wit instead of some of the combativeness that he does. But Barr, I don't believe that he really did a good job.
All right, thanks for the call, John. Well, with respect to the Russian collusion, nobody being held accountable, yeah, I share the frustration. I think Barr expressed as best he could the frustration he had before he resigned in terms of putting out publicly that he expected the Durham investigation. Let's remember, he expected the Durham investigation to be complete before the election. That's somebody telling Durham without telling him, you need to get this done before the election. But you appoint a special counsel to investigate, and then you have to be effectively hands-off as they pursue the facts wherever they lead. I'm not ecstatic about the Durham investigation. I'm both in terms of duration as well in terms of scope. I think it was too limited. There was a lot of value to it. The Durham report brought Comey and McCabe back out, especially Comey from hiding to have to do some reputational rehabilitation on the MSNBC and CNN primetime lineups, as you saw a few weeks back. But yes, that's a fair criticism. But that doesn't mean Barr was in the tank for anybody, or Barr was unwilling to pursue wrongdoers with respect to the Russian collusion hoax or otherwise. In addition to that, you'll recall, by the way, the criticism of Barr before things broke bad between Barr and Trump was what? He's not the attorney general. He's Trump's personal attorney.
Eric Holder was Barack Obama's personal attorney.
Barr is Trump's personal attorney. You heard that over and over again. Then Barr breaks bad, and now Barr is, a patriot who's willing to speak truth to power because he disagrees with Trump's handling of the classified document situation. Let's not fall into the trap of just repeating the talking points of whoever we find useful in the moment. That's what CNN and MSNBC do. And to some extent, Fox, too.
Barr's first loyalty was to the Constitution and the rule of law, not to President Trump. And he showed that over time and time again.
All right, we'll take more of your calls and get more of what Trump had to say about that classified doc case at 5:38.
But now let's head straight into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
We're at 63 degrees, 531. Another round of severe weather set to track through the southern U.S. today, Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. Mississippi's already had a deadly start to the week. Police and witnesses say a man with an axe attacked random diners at 3 Chinese restaurants in New Zealand. The attack occurred late Monday in a suburb of Auckland. 3 of the 4 people wounded remain in critical condition at area hospitals. A Chinese national has been arrested. Authorities in southern Brazil say a former student entered a school and began shooting, killing a 16-year-old girl, severely wounding others. Brazil has seen about 12 violent school attacks in the last 14 months. The U.S. and China are agreeing to try and stabilize their relationship to avoid veering into more conflict.
Both the United States and China have an obligation to manage this relationship responsibly. Doing so serves the best interests of the United States, of China, indeed, of the world.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Beijing. Former President Trump says the National Archives needed to ask in order to get classified documents back.
Because I had boxes. I want to go through the boxes and get all my personal things out. I don't want to hand that over to NARA yet.
In an interview with Fox News, the former president added officials also should have asked, could we have them back?
Before I send boxes over, I have to take all of my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things.
Trump arraigned last week on federal charges related to his handling of documents after he left office. Tropical storm Brett has formed over the central Atlantic Ocean, likely to become a hurricane Wednesday. Rescuers in a remote area of the Atlantic Ocean are racing against time to find a missing submersible carrying 5 on a mission to document the wreckage of the Titanic. Rear Admiral John Mauger.
Search both the surface of the water, search from the air, and then launch equipment that would enable us to detect any vessels under the water.
The submersible named Titan, part of a mission by Ocean Gate Expeditions, carried a pilot, a renowned British adventurer, and 2 members of a Pakistani business family. Students at the Covenant School in Nashville will continue to attend classes at a nearby church when the 2023-2024 school year begins. It's where students have been going since the deadly March shooting that killed 3 children and 3 adults. Authorities have identified the man killed in a shooting over the weekend near Willowbrook. Reginald Matthews was killed after gunfire erupted early Sunday during an illegal weekend gathering at a strip mall parking lot near Route 83 that later turned violent. As of yesterday, no one had been arrested for the shooting. 1 person is dead, 3 others are hurt following a shooting and crash on Chicago's southwest side. 4 males traveling in a vehicle were fired on in the 3200 block of West 79th and then crashed. Chicago sports. Cubs blanked the Pirates 8-0. White Sox lost to the Rangers 5-2. The news, a service of MyPillow. Big news, the brand new MyPillow 2.0 is now buy one, get one free with promo code LIBERTY. Machine washable and dryable. Visit MyPillow.com, promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's summertime, and you want to keep the shop, warehouse, and other doors open for ventilation. Air circulation improves the well-being of your employees and customers, but open doors can let in the uninvited, like strangers, birds, rodents, and bugs. Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. can help solve the problem with a full line of commercial screen door products designed with these specific problems in mind. Call Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. now. Also, regular scheduled maintenance is the key, and Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. has multiple levels of maintenance programs for your company's needs and budget. They'll ensure your doors, grills, gates, and dock equipment are working to specification to increase the useful life of your doors. Visit their website to see a range of products and services at industrialdoor.com. Call anytime, 847-258-5620. Their team will be there to assist in designing a solution that works best for you. Since 1982, the Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. takes care of your doors so you can take care of business. Everyone knows that crime is on the rise. It's imperative that law enforcement agents have the information they need to keep citizens safe and protect themselves as well. If you are a sworn law enforcement agent certified in the state of Illinois and working for an agency in Illinois, you might be interested in this announcement. Would you like to have an on-the-job decision-making tool at your fingertips? Law enforcement agency data systems information is available to you at an affordable price when you use the Illinois Public Safety Agency Network products, Bullet or Mini Bullet. Your Android or Apple-based handheld mobile device, phone or tablet can receive this data. In addition, your desktop or laptop can also receive this information via the internet. Just call the Illinois Public Safety Agency Network at 773-693-3000 or visit ipsan.org and pilot Bullet or Mini Bullet. That's 773-693-3000 or visit ipsan.org.
Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage. Navage, available at navage.com.
5:37. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Kennedy inbound, 30 minutes already. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson showing delays between Pulaski and Kedzie, 26 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Bishop Ford jamming up between the Stony Island feeder and the Dan Ryan merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny and 83 today. Clear and 63 overnight. Sunny, warm, 87 tomorrow. 60 at O'Hare, 59 Lakefront. Right now, 56 in Lansing. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy talking about former President Trump sit down with Brett Baer last night. We went off on a bit of a tangent talking about the relationship between him and Bill Barr because I thought it was instructive as to one of Trump's flaws. And since he invoked Bill Barr as being a coward yesterday during that interview. Response on Twitter from a Carolyn Baranowski. I just turned you and Amy off my radio. I will not listen to the morning show anymore. Saying Bill Barr is a good guy. That's not exactly what I said, but okay. Saying Bill Barr is a good guy shows me what you're all about, Dan. Bill Barr is a globalist. Misspelled. Like Jelly Belly. Always Trump bashing. I'm sick of you.
That's not true, but okay.
My reply to that is what she said is totally untrue, every single part of it, except her turning off her radio. That may or may not be true. I don't know. But this is the show. It's not a daycare provider. So if you want to take your rattle and go home, go ahead. Go shake it at somebody else.
Or call in 312-642-5600.
You can do that as well. But we're not here to recite press releases for politicians. You understand? So if you disagree, well, I welcome the disagreement. I solicit it routinely, particularly from the left, but I'll take it from the never criticized Trumpers as well. We've been taking that for 7 years. So that's how it is. you choose your course of action. We live and let live here, spontaneous order. Do as you see fit. Back to the interview with Barr and Trump.
Yes.
On the classified doc case. So real simple, Mr. President, why did you have those docs and cling to them?
So like every other president, I take things out. And in my case, I took it out pretty much in a hurry, but people packed it up and we left. And I had clothing in there. I had all sorts of personal items in there, much stuff. And by the way, when Bill Barr, who's, a coward, Bill Barr was a coward. Bill Barr didn't do what he was supposed to do. I fired him, and he has great hatred, and that's okay, because some people do, and some people love me very much. He didn't resign. I asked him, give me a letter immediately, because he didn't have the courage to go after so many different things, and you and I have discussed it before, but he was a coward. And he obviously doesn't like me too much, and there are a lot of people that don't, and there are a lot of people that feel just the opposite.
But on the specific on the
let me
documents.
just explain.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of things in there. I will go through those boxes. I have to go through those boxes. I take out personal things. As far as the levels and all, everything was declassified because I had the right to declassify.
Okay, so there we have, he's claiming the right to declassify, and he did, in fact, declassify everything in his possession, except his clothes and golf shoes, which were intermixed with the documents. And he needed to go through those boxes of documents in order to extract his golf shoes and his clothes.
You buying that?
He went on purely a PRA issue, and then Barr asked, well, okay, but then why not just turn over those documents to the National Archives when it got to the level of subpoena?
I have every right to have those boxes. This is purely a Presidential Records Act. This is not a criminal thing because I had boxes. I want to go through the boxes and get all my personal things out. I don't want to hand that over to NARA yet. And I was very busy, as you've sort of seen.
Yeah, but according to the indictment, you then tell this aide to move to other locations after telling your lawyers to say you'd fully complied with the subpoena when you hadn't.
But before I send boxes over, I have to take all of my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things, golf shirts, clothing, pants, shoes. There were many things. I would say much more, not that I know of, but everything was declassified. And Biden didn't have the right to do that because he wasn't president.
And he spent a lot of time sort of pivoting to do a compare contrast between him and Biden and even him and Pence when it comes to presidential records, because, of course, only one of them was president as it pertains to these classified documents in their respective possessions. Trump went on to say that he would have complied. They didn't give him time. He was busy. And, then they raided Mar-a-Lago.
But I wouldn't have kept, but they raided my house. They came in and raided. We were discussing, having very good discussions with NARA, a radical left group, by the way, and all of a sudden my house got raided.
Do you know if you still have any highly sensitive government documents?
No, I don't have anything, no.
Okay.
But what I'm concerned about, they took everything, right? I don't know what they took. They could be stuffing it. I don't know what they put in there. And we wanted to be there when they were taking. They wouldn't let anybody in the room. They've never treated a president like this.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Would you enjoy having Trump for a client?
No, I think he'd be an attorney's biggest nightmare. I mean, part of me, I feel bad for him. And then the other part, he brought this upon himself. I mean, get your stuff together. If you're, get organized or hire somebody who can organize you so your golf items don't end up in the same box as classified material.
Well, I mean, my follow-up question would be as well with, and this is his choice to pull us into the weeds on this rather than making the larger normative arguments that I've suggested, like equal application of the law, which he was sort of insinuating, but he should have just
said it.
Focused at the 30,000-foot level, as far as I'm concerned. But he talked about he would have turned them over, but they raided his house. He didn't have time to go through them. But I thought you said you declassified everything, so you were entitled to have them. So which is it? You were entitled to have them, and you didn't have to turn them over, or you weren't entitled to have them, and you would have turned them over, or you were entitled to have them, but in terms of path least resistance, even though you declassified some of the documents, all of the documents, I'm not exactly sure what he's saying, even though you were entitled to have them, that you would have turned them over just out of path of least resistance. I'm not exactly sure what his position is. Verlon, Southside, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, okay, I don't know if you watch the Sunday shows or not, but Bill Barr has been taken off after Trump, basically calling him, my question to you is, why is that, number one? And he's basically been calling him unstable and unfit and unhinged to serve. A man that has served this country as president for 4 years, now he's all of a sudden unfit. And I empathize with your situation, what you're talking about as far as Barr right now, because I basically said that Merrick Garland wasn't an evil, bad person. He's just doing his job.
Well, he's a useful idiot.
I got a lot of backlash for that.
Well, those are. I hate to break it to you, Verlon, but I would give you backlash for that too. It's not even about evil. It's just he's a useful idiot. He's not just doing his job. He's a useful idiot. Bill Barr is not a useful idiot. No. Bill Barr did do his job, by and large. I may have some disagreements about the level of aggressiveness from Barr in certain instances, but he's not a coward, and he's not a useful idiot, and he wasn't Trump's personal attorney, and it's just tiresome to me, and it takes people off into tangents that are unhelpful, and that's Trump's choice.
Well, once somebody comes after Trump, like Barr has been doing, you already know Donald Trump is going to fight right back.
Yeah, I understand. Thanks for the call, Verlon. I get it. And Barr is getting beyond the legal to the personal when he's providing characterizations of Trump's personality or management style. But he was also there, and he obviously has some disagreements about his management style. He's not the only one. So you can disagree with Bill Barr's disagreements, but all of this coward business, essentially quisling business, because that's what Trump is essentially calling him, I'm not on board for. That's all.
So did you think this interview was hurtful or helpful to Trump?
I didn't think it was helpful.
I think we're going to have more tonight, too.
And one other point here, too, about he declassified everything, but then Barr followed up with Trump. Okay, what about the recording that's alleged? It's only alleged.
That's right.
In the indictment that he's waving around some classified document saying, I could have classified this when I was president, but I didn't. Here's what Trump said on that.
What this points to is this recording where you said you could have declassified it when you were president. You didn't.
No,
so
I
it's still
could have
classified.
when I was president, but there's no document there. Those were newspaper articles.
Okay.
They were copies of articles and magazines. There was no document there. And I couldn't have done it after I was out.
Okay. So, and again,
I can't keep it straight. Right?
The way that Trump talks, it's possible. It's possible he was just waving around news articles and saying, I could classify documents when I was there. I can't classify them now. And he wasn't talking about anything in his hand, or the transcript is somehow misconstrues the context. That's all possible. I don't know. It's possible. Though, we've all heard how Trump talks, sort of non sequitur stream of consciousness. So it's certainly possible that the indictment mischaracterizes the dynamic of the conversation that's apparently memorialized on tape with Mark Meadows' biographer. That's possible. But his sort of arguing in the alternative throughout this interview about what he did and didn't have in his possession, and why he did or did not, why he did keep it in his possession, and what he was going to do at some point in the indeterminate future, I don't think it's too helpful, but he doesn't seem worried.
So you're not worried about this case?
Based on the law, zero. Presidential Records Act plus the Clinton case, which was won by Clinton as president because he took He took tapes of leaders in his socks. Zero.
Marvin in Burlington, Wisconsin.
Is it me?
Yep, go ahead, Marvin.
Hey, sorry this morning. Good morning. Yeah, I think just quickly, I was a Trump supporter, big Trump supporter. I think the guy is not being treated fairly, but here, I think why people like him so much and are so loyal to him is because he's the first president that we perceive to have actually followed some of our wants for the American the country. We were disappointed with Bush. I mean, even Reagan to some extent was great, but he had we had some disappointments with him. But he's the first one who actually seemed in the last 50 years to take on the cabal of the media and the left-wing lunatics and the hypocrites in the country. I know he's a flawed person. Everybody does. But we just don't seem to – you don't have the faith of anybody else because no one else has done it. Maybe DeSantis in Florida, but not on a national level or anything. And that's why I think people are stick with Trump and are loyal to him. I don't give a darn what Brett Baer says or any of these other folks who want to browbeat him to death. I mean, and every one of these cases that they bring up, those cases are flawed and it's all about trying to knock him down, and it's been that way for damn near 10 years.
Well, thanks for the call, Marvin. Yeah, I appreciate that, and you've heard me on the show talking last week about my views on the prosecution both in Manhattan and this prosecution that was discussed between Barr and Trump yesterday. I am not an advocate. I think it is all fruit of a poisonous political tree.
Mm-hmm. And William Barr supported Trump on the first indictment out of New York. He said, that was a witch hunt. He calls it like he sees it.
There are things that, again, I don't want to make this about Bill Barr. It's about Trump. Yes, you want to go through Barr's record? Yes, we can go through Barr's record. Was he as aggressive on the Hunter laptop as he should have been? No. But did he also say after the election that Biden and those intel people lied and the election was close enough that suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story could very well have affected it? So, again, we can go tit for tat on the topics, but the point is the characterization of Barr as a quisling and his penchant for doing that, even as he surrounds himself with gutter slugs like Michael Cohen, who take the country into places it need not have gone but for Trump's personnel choices. So a little bit more humility. I know you're never going to get it, but it doesn't mean I won't stop criticizing it. A little bit of humility and, dare I say, accountability for the people you surround yourself with. Who's a quisling? Bill Barr or Michael Cohen? Who's a quisling? Bill Barr or Jared Kushner? Okay? Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for getting to me. Enjoying your comments on Barr. A couple questions. The first one is with regards to Barr. What caused the rift or the change in the attacks of Trump on Barr? What did Barr do to tick off Trump? And then second, you haven't addressed it yet, but the stolen election. Trump keeps on harping about the stolen election, and I wish he would change the narrative on that in terms of the impact of the media gaslighting the voters with regards to withholding the laptop. It maybe mechanically wasn't stolen, but sure enough, the voters were spun to vote for Biden because of all the stuff either that was withheld or the Russia stuff.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Bob. All right, so on Trump and Barr. So just going back to Barr's resignation, Barr's letter, Your record is all the more historic because you accomplished it in the face of relentless, implacable resistance. Few could have weathered these attacks, much less forge ahead with a positive program for the country. Trump tweeting, just had a very nice meeting with Attorney General Barr at the White House. Our relationship has been a good one. He has done an outstanding job. And I know you say, well, that's pro forma, try to part on good terms, good public face. Okay, fine. But he's gone from that to quizzing. What was the source of the disintegration of the relationship? My mind was Bill Barr's characterization of Trump's legal team as a clown show, which, by the way, it was. Post-election with respect to challenging the pursuing the allegations of fraud post the 2020 election.
It was awful.
So but that's where it was on the day that he submitted his resignation, just to set the record straight. Okay. Chet Lyle.
Good morning. I was calling earlier and ditto you on the lack of aggressiveness with respect to pursuing the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing was the lack of aggressiveness in managing Chris Wray. And because I believe Chris Wray reports to Bill Barr.
That's a fair point.
So, and I think those two things really kind of stick in my craw. And I also did read the Bill Barr book, which I think is an excellent read. Everybody should read. Thanks.
Thanks for the call. Yeah. No, Chris Wray, the whole, I mean, again, the lack of appreciation for the depths of the corruption in the FBI. Does Bill Barr own some of that? Sure.
But didn't he try to bring, justice back to the department to make them objective again? I mean, by assigning John Durham special counsel.
Yes. But I mean, this is where you get into any blind spots. Could he have been more aggressive here and there? Yeah. I mean, those are fair questions to raise, criticisms to lodge. Quisling? Coward?
No.
I don't think so. Jan in Hoffman Estates. Hi, Jan.
Jan, are you there?
Yeah, good morning. I don't agree with Bill Barr at all. I listened to Mark Levin and Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch, and this whole thing should have never happened to Trump. I mean, unfortunately, this man was trying to do the best job he could possibly do, and everyone was fighting against him, including the rhinos and the media that seems to want, to pick our Republican candidate. Why don't they just leave this man alone and let the people elect him instead of having an election instead of a selection by the Republicans and the Democrats? But that's where it's gotten to. And Barr was out there selling his book saying that he didn't see any election interference, and there were thousands and thousands of cases that are still being pending right now in the courts in Pennsylvania and Arizona and a lot of places that they're still working on this thing to get it fixed for the next election. So I'm not a fan of Barr at all. I think he should have stayed in retirement. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Jan. And Trump needs to focus on the next election, not the last one, as Bob in Buffalo Grove was mentioning.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll update the violence over the weekend, both in Willowbrook and Chicago at 6:06.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom for news here at home and around the world. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
A Cook County judge accused of making racist comments. 1 dead, 3 hurt in a shooting and crash on the southwest side. A Wisconsin woman working at a suburban spa is charged with prostitution, and a helicopter crashes into a northwest Indiana lake. Cubs blank the Pirates. White Sox drop their series opener with the Rangers. Sunshine in your forecast. And WIND Chicago News Time 6.
They are still searching at sea. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, for a submersible still missing, perhaps 2 miles deep in the Atlantic on a tour of the Titanic shipwreck. It costs $250,000 per person. Here's Fox's Brooke Singman.
It lost communication just under 2 hours after it left. Officials now fear it sunk too far down for a manned rescue, and it only has enough oxygen to last underwater until 12 p.m. on Thursday.
We're using that time, making the best use of every moment of that time to locate the vessel.
Coast Guard Rear Admiral Admiral John Mauger says they're using sonar and searching the ocean surface. There are 5 people on board. The CEO of the company that runs the expedition, a French Titanic researcher, a UK billionaire, and a wealthy Pakistan man and his teenage son. Also in the Atlantic, much further south, there's Tropical Storm Brett, forecast to be the first hurricane of the year.
One of the earliest storms to form this early out in the Atlantic, just off the coast of Africa, and we have a wave behind that. What does that tell us? This could potentially be an active season.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean, it's too early to know Brett's track. A week after former President Trump pleaded not guilty after being indicted over classified documents he had at his Florida resort, he sat down with Fox's Brett Baer.
Why did you have this very sensitive national security defense documents, like the war plans for a strike on Iran?
So, like every other president, I take things out. And in my case, I took it out pretty much in a hurry, but people packed it up and we left.
Among the criminal charges, obstruction and refusing to return documents. But the former president and 2024 Republican frontrunner insists it's a witch hunt and says he has zero worries about the case. A hearing starts today in California in an attempt to disbar former Trump attorney John Eastman over accusations he helped then President Trump devise a strategy trying to overturn the 2020 election results. America's listening to Fox News.
60 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Authorities are identifying the man killed in a shooting over the weekend near Willowbrook. Reginald Meadows died after gunfire erupted early Sunday morning during an illegal weekend gathering in a strip mall parking lot. Nearly 24 more were wounded. Governor J.B. Pritzker offered a statement following, reaffirming his commitment to, quote, banning dangerous weapons, end quote. State Representative Mike Marin says taking guns away from law-abiding people has not worked.
I thought we fixed this. I mean, they claim that they fixed this. We banned assault weapons and we did all this, and, that was supposed to fix this, but it didn't. And
as of Monday afternoon, no one has been arrested for the shooting. The incident remains under investigation. In Chicago, 1 person is dead. 3 others are hurt following a shooting and crash on the southwest side. 4 males were traveling in a vehicle yesterday when someone in another vehicle fired shots at them in the 3200 block of West 79th. Mayor Brandon Johnson addressing the violent weekend in Chicago.
Look, I knew what I was inheriting when I became the mayor of the city of Chicago. I knew it.
In other news we're following this morning, Fieldhouse at Chicago's Gage Park neighborhood will soon become temporary housing for hundreds of illegal migrants beginning July 1st. A Cook County judge is accused of making racial comments to a defendant and his attorney. The Tribune reporting attorney Matthew Ficori has filed a motion last week to substitute Judge William Hooks from presiding over a case of a defendant charged with aggravated domestic battery. The motion accuses Hooks of making racial comments about a Middle Eastern man. No one hurt after a helicopter crashes into Cedar Lake in northwest Indiana. The passenger and pilot were able to get out and swim ashore. Cubs blanked the Pirates 8-0 in their series opener at PNC Park. White Sox lost to the Rangers at guaranteed rate, 5-2. The news, a service of the Barbecue Authority, your go-to for the largest selection of grills, smokers, and outdoor products, is the Barbecue Authority. Visit the Lyle showroom or online at bbqauthority.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
The feeble fascist and the entire upper echelon of the Democrat Party is a big, giant, pay-to-play scheme mafia. They get to lie with impunity, and they lie knowingly. And what does the lie lead to? The fact that the sitting president, although he doesn't know it and he's sitting in his own urine, the sitting president is an asset of enemies, foreign. We know. And we also know about the domestic, but we're used to unions.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
What happens when America's debt bubble finally bursts? The dollar's value would be destroyed along with the value of your 401k or IRA. And this would be a total catastrophe for the nation. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and the debt bubble is just one more reason why I recommend diversifying your retirement accounts into physical gold. Gold can preserve your savings through almost anything. And if you take advantage of a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, you pay 0 penalties or taxes when you transfer your current retirement funds. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold IRA company I trust, so text PROTECT to 989898 to request your free kit on gold IRAs right now.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck, what do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. I was doing more things. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. They couldn't believe the change in me. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
.607, and now a check of the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Seeing red numbers early this morning. Inbound Edens, 24 minutes. Lake Hook Road to the junction. Kennedy inbound, it's already 50 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound, 36 from 390 into the old post office. Dan Ryan, accident, left lane blocked. Stop and go from Roosevelt Road to Taylor, where the accident is located. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
It'll be a mostly sunny day. Our high today at 83. Clear skies tonight, low 63. And then mostly sunny and warm for tomorrow, the high 87. Thursday, a partly sunny day, high near 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
60 at O'Hare, 59 Lakefront, 62 in Aurora, and 56 in Lansing. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy doing the postmortems from the weekend's violence in Chicagoland, the 23 shot and 1 killed in that strip mall in Willowbrook, combined with 71 and 11 in the city of Chicago. 71
shot, 11 killed in Chicago.
The person who was killed at that Willowbrook Juneteenth observance.
Why are you rolling your eyes?
Because that's
I know.
Peaceful Juneteenth gathering Saturday. Actually, it was Sunday morning at 12:30 a.m.
And how they could still be out there partying in a strip mall, but apparently that's a party place. That's where people go together all the time.
Juneteenth celebration.
Yeah. Reginald Meadows, 31, he died. Gunshot wound to the abdomen, father of 2. He's hired an attorney, and they're going to be filing a wrongful death lawsuit against the owner of the strip mall.
Right.
One thing they failed to ensure, despite the number of people that were gathering, was making sure that there was proper security measures, safety measures in place, so something doesn't occur that did occur.
why people despise trial lawyers or should. First, kill all the lawyers, Dick the Butcher, right? Right. Counselor, do they have a legal right to be on the property? That's a question for the DuPage County Sheriff's Office, too, that was observing the gathering until they were called away on a 911 call, so they say. It was...
Why would they let people stay there?
Mostly peaceful until it wasn't. So 150 cars, as according to eyewitnesses, 300 people gathering in a mall that, as far as I know, it hasn't reported the contrary, they didn't have a legal right to be on that private property. And so that is the private property owner's fault. And that is the DuPage County Sheriff's protocol when there's a gathering of that size where there shouldn't be legally. That's called. I thought that's called loitering.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And especially if there was underage people there, there's curfew violations. But ABC7 said there was a local rap artist there shooting a music video at the time of the shooting. And they estimate 200 to 300 people were there.
Was that in celebration of Juneteenth as well? The rap video?
The rap video they're making? I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Here's one of the witnesses. Well, one of the participants of the Juneteenth celebration who knew something was wrong.
I came out earlier in the night and it felt a little rowdy. It felt off. So I ended up going in the house. And about 15 minutes later, I heard a lot of gunfire.
Love her intuition. She knew. Others that were there.
It's a couple people got hit by other cars when they were trying to actually leave out to actually, try to get away.
And people got trampled. 23 shot, though. Still, they're not releasing the ages of the victims who survived. 22 people. We don't know if they're teenagers, adults. We know the victim who died was 31. But
31-year-old father of two. Oh, really? So what are you doing out at 12:30 in the morning?
On Father's Day. Well,
what? Full stop. What are you doing out at 12:30 in the morning if you have two kids at home? Uncomfortable questions about this mostly peaceful gathering.
I can't believe they call it peace. Why? I mean, it looked like a war zone. Blood everywhere. I mean, and they say it was a peace of somewhat peaceful.
They weren't calling it peaceful after the fact.
The
point is that
they did to Channel 7.
This is common sense as that woman you played. You feel it getting a little rowdy. So a crowd that size at that hour of the early morning on property they are not entitled to be on. Mm-hmm. And what's the DuPage County Sheriff's Office doing? I texted James Mendrick, DuPage County Sheriff, who I otherwise I think he's a good law and order guy. Haven't heard back. No. He has to answer for his department. Sorry. That comes with the job. I got questions.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey .pro answer line. You can also text us at 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Greg in Rogers Park here in Chicago.
Hi, good morning. Number one, the media is just awful with this crime. Number one, they play the race baiters game. They refuse to report that this is an illegal gathering. They always make everyone sound like the people that were there were the victims. They got exactly what they deserved because they were out at a late night doing wrong things. Two, the politicians like our idiot Mayor Johnson and our catch and release Fox, they incentivize all these idiots to do this because they know they're going to get catch and release, charges dropped. Look what she did to R. Kelly, dropped the child rape charges. So basically you have child rape enablers, crime enablers, and jerks, and it's just ridiculous.
I don't think anyone deserves to be shot because they were out late.
So, right, nobody deserves to be shot, no. Number one. Number two, this was in DuPage County, not Cook. So Fox and Brandon Johnson are excused from this discussion.
Unless they insert themselves, which Mayor Johnson did after that shooting. Put out a statement along with Governor Pritzker and President Biden. And then they had a vigil last night. But apparently hardly anybody showed up.
Okay, so how is Brandon Johnson and Kim Fox relevant?
Brandon Johnson commented released a statement about the shooting. You know, our hearts go out to the victims of Willowbrook, blah, blah, blah. And then yesterday, he had to talk about Chicago, which 71 were shot and 11 were killed.
Look, every time I read and hear about another life that is lost because of violence, my heart breaks. 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds. You all know I'm raising children in Chicago. It hurts.
Right. Thank you. So it's relevant. Chicago, not Willowbrook. Got it. Okay. Good. Check mark. Yeah, it hurts. Nobody likes to see 11 people shot and 11 people murdered and 71 people shot in Chicago. One person murdered and 23 people shot in Willowbrook. There are different politicians and agencies responsible in different locales. It's pretty straightforward. There are different electorates responsible in different locales. DuPage County, Village of Willowbrook. All these people living in Burr Ridge and Hinsdale, because I have to inform the Chicago Press Corps. That's where Willowbrook is located, around there. So, all these people living in Burr Ridge and Hinsdale who are aghast. What? How could that? That was in Willowbrook. Oh, yeah, Willowbrook. Shocking, isn't it? Is it? Sean and Darien, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Yeah, I live in Darien, right up the street. We know what happens in the city, and let's be honest, nobody cares because it happens every day, not every weekend, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it gets into our neighborhood, like you've always said, Dan, it's going to come, and it has. So my other point is, too, with the sheriff, DuPage County Sheriff, why didn't they break it up immediately, right? Well, immediately. The reason is because there's a bunch of 300 people. They're all black, I'm sure, a majority of them. If it was white, I don't care if it's white, Hispanic, whatever. It should have been broken up immediately, and we wouldn't be talking right now. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Sean. Craig, Burr Ridge.
Hey, how you guys doing there? I live right here. Okay, the media is just not reporting the facts about this situation. They keep saying this is a peaceful Juneteenth celebration. It was not a celebration. It was not a sanctioned event. This is loitering. It goes on nightly in that strip mall. This is really just an apartment complex that's surrounding a strip mall. It's a standalone area, and there's constant issues there. This goes on every night in that parking lot.
So
every night.
So this housing complex that's near that parking lot, what's it called? A claim?
Well, it's Hinsdale Lake Terrace.
Okay, maybe that's the ownership group. And this is Section 8, right?
Mostly Section 8. It's kind of a standalone area. You got condos in the back that are more Argonne, Waterfall Glen, and that area is a little better because it's a lot more people that actually own the condos. Up there, up front, it's the Hinsdale Lake Terrace, and that's mostly Section 8 there, and that's where the majority of your problems are at, is in that little area there. I've seen things go on over there constantly because there's a fence. I can look out my window, and there's a fence that separates us, our townhouses, from the apartment complex.
And that apartment complex, my understanding is that's a product of the scattered site Section 8 housing out of Chicago, mainly to the south suburbs, which helped to hasten the Southland's demise.
Well, this is the southwest suburbs.
No, I know that. I know where it is. But, I mean, my point is this part of moving when they started to take down those towers, inventorying people in the city and spread the Section 8 beneficiaries out to the suburbs? Is this apartment complex one of those byproducts?
It's got to be, because it hasn't been like that I've been out here 15 years, and it hasn't been that bad till maybe the last 8 years is really when it ran downhill.
And what do you attribute that to? What's the change?
Just not vetting the people that you're letting move into your complex, or just not caring the kind of people are living there,
Yeah, okay. Thanks for the call, Craig. Appreciate it. Matt's outside.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. One concern is I think as far as, you're right. Somebody has to answer for this as far as the DuPage County sheriffs. My one issue is I think so many people are afraid to break something up, whether they're trespassing or not, because they're afraid of perception. And I know that's wrong. I know you can't do that. But until we stop letting the mob rule, something's got to give. I mean, if the police would have gone there to break it up, this would have somehow turned into a race issue. Again, I know that's wrong, but we have to change the way we think. Or not us, but I mean, a lot of people have to change the way they think. This is not always about race, and it would have become a race issue had they broken something up before, something bad actually happened.
Well, you're probably right, but as you sort of indicate, well, you either have the rule of law regardless of race, or you don't. I mean, there's nothing that is not any better to exempt somebody from the rule of law because they are of a particular race than it is to target them because they're of a particular race. That seems to be pretty straightforward to me. And you have to have the courage, I guess, to make that argument, particularly if you wear a badge. Larry in Elmhurst.
Hey, good morning. Hey, if they would have moved that crowd about a half a mile east of there, it's a big gated community. Jim Comey and them live. Those are like $6 million homes over there. They could probably look out his window and see all that going on. How would you like to live there, pay all that tax money, and then have to put up with that?
Thanks for the call, Larry.
That's why I fictitiously said it was on the south. It was a south suburb. Because a lot of people in the media live right near, on the border of Willowbrook. They don't want that.
Well, I agree. I think
don't
that
want a tarnished reputation.
They should have had that in Tomey Park in Hinsdale. Or just pick any block, right? Because those are public streets in Hinsdale, as opposed to a private property of a strip mall. Pick any cobblestone block in Hinsdale and just have a block party where you can do your peaceful Juneteenth celebration. What's wrong with that? Dawn, Crystal Lake.
Yes, good morning. I just thought I would mention that the Section 8 housing program, while there is a sector of that client population that does tend to be chaotic, that program also houses a lot of our senior citizens and a lot of our physically disabled people. So I want you to be careful about stigmatizing, quote unquote, Section 8 in its entirety, because it does house a lot of people who really do need help.
Thanks for the call, Don. I'm always careful. Pat in Lockport.
Good morning. I'm sitting here or laying here listening to this nonsense. And these unbridled crowds of animals that get together, and we're just so horrified that there's death and violence that break out. Those SOBs that were on private property, I don't care if there were 20 or 220 or 520. Their sorry asses don't belong there. Do not the authorities patrol these places? And then they've got the unbridled nerve to go after the owner. The owner. You walk through my yard and get hurt. Don't come knocking on my door. This is my property, not yours. You don't belong here. And we go back to the same pathetic scenario. Oh, the guns are the problem. Let's get rid of all the guns. It makes me sick to my stomach. And the people are so in charge are so damn stupid. They keep playing the same record over and over and over and can't figure out what the hell to do about it. Maybe if they got their heads out of their asses and figured it out, we wouldn't have these problems.
Thanks for the call. Pat needed to be sent over there to crack some skulls.
No.
Tony, Downers Grove.
Holding back.
Yeah, Dan, here we go. They get targeted. A group gets targeted because they commit 99% of the shootings. And nobody wants, let's just call it what it is. Nobody needs to solve this puzzle. I read it. I was in Austin when this happened. I looked at the news, and I'm like, well, I don't even need to know, because I knew before I even saw the video. And Pritzker comes out. Biden comes out. Can't just call it what it is. It's black on black crime. It's always 99% of the time the issue. And we're all afraid to call it out because we're going to be labeled racist. You know what? you're not a racist if you get a bullet in the head and you're just an innocent bystander.
Thanks for the call, Tony. Frank, Arlington Heights.
Good morning. Well, besides the moral rot and cultural decay being the number one problem in this country, I mean, a good chunk of our society, we might as well be Canaanites. But besides that, the second biggest problem is this massive gap between the rich and the poor, and the technology we now have where people can see it more. And Joe Biden is a relevant figure in this discussion. What is he and what is the Congress going to do about that, giving opportunities for people to be able to improve their lives? Because this is going on all over the country. If you watch some of these YouTube videos on these YouTube influencers who travel around to different neighborhoods and different locations in the country, the decay is everywhere. It really is. It's a major problem.
Thanks for the call, Frank. Speaking of this complex,
yeah,
Hinsdale Lake Terrace, that's what we're talking about. The decay that Frank is mentioning and how we sort of turn a blind eye to it and hope that the decay occurs quietly and more or less without incident so long as we're not part of it, that it doesn't radiate out beyond a particular footprint. September 2012. Sounds like Sunday morning was a long time in the making. September 2012 from The Patch. Retaliation over Hinsdale South grad shooting, a concern for apartment community. Social workers striving to help the community together in the wake of 18-year-old Joshua Holmes' shooting death in unincorporated Willowbrook, which has aroused a lot of anger. It was about 6:30 p.m. Monday when neighbors of the apartment complex heard the sound of gunshots. It was a nice night out with temperatures in the high 60s, so dozens of young people were out enjoying the weather. The basketball court was filled. According to the sheriff's office, witnesses saw a white four-door vehicle drive into the intersection, a passenger pull out a gun and fired several shots at Holmes, so on and so forth. 2012. 11 years in the making.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're selling your home or purchasing a new home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Team Hochberg is offering every listener the Perks at Work benefit, which can save you thousands of dollars on your next real estate transaction. Here's how it works. When a Team Hochberg affiliated realtor sells your home, they'll reduce their fee up to 1%. When a Team Hochberg affiliated realtor helps you purchase a home, you will receive up to 1% of their commission in the form of a closing cost credit. Team Hochberg will credit all of your loan origination fees, and our affiliated attorney will reduce his fee. Last year, a couple who was buying and selling a home saved close to $9,000 with the Team Hochberg Perks at Work program. To learn how you can save thousands of dollars on your next real estate transaction, please give me a call now at 855-56-DAVID or visit our website, 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or visit our website, 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Guys, a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and go to a provider you can trust. I've been recommending my friends at Low T Center for 8 years. It's where I get my levels checked. Low T Center exclusively specializes in men's wellness. They check all your levels, not just testosterone, and determine the cause of any symptoms you're having and whether you're a candidate for low T or something else like low thyroid or sleep apnea. Typically, their annual health assessment is completely covered by health insurance, and they check everything, including PSA, which is your prostate levels, of course, as well as thyroid, liver and kidney function, cholesterol, glucose levels, and more. Low T Center has affordable and convenient options for treatment, including monitored self-inject treatment that ships directly to you each month, so there's no need to come to the center each week. Make your health a priority and schedule your annual health assessment at Low T Center today. It's covered by most health insurance or less than $100 cash pay. Visit lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Prop sent you. When you do, Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
Are you growing your manufacturing team this year and need new employees? Turn to Monarch Technical Services. They've been leading the Chicago staffing industry for manufacturing and engineering since 1987. You'll appreciate their vetting process. They meet every candidate in person to interview and test for specific skills. Monarch assesses experience by using blueprint, shop math, part measurement, and CNC program exams. Their quality skills assessor was once a plant manager who worked on manufacturing equipment, so he recognizes who has the skills to fit each job requirement. Monarch Technical now offers a 30-day free trial with any day one direct hire. This allows you to make sure direct hire employees are fitting in before fees are paid. And they have a unique payment option which allows the finder's fee to be paid in 6 equal monthly payments. So if you're growing your manufacturing team this year and searching for exceptional talent, contact Monarch Technical Services at 847-342-1221. That's 847-342-1221. Or online at monarchtechnical.com. That's monarchtechnical.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The rarest of all things, you just never know. A Canadian politician with a COVID apology? Yeah.
What?
Seriously, at 6:36.
Oh, I can't wait, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
The Coast Guard is racing against time. Find a missing vessel used to explore the sunken Titanic. Rear Admiral John Mauger this morning saying the Coast Guard is using search resources in the air and in the water about 900 miles east of Cape Cod. The submersible has enough oxygen on board for passengers to survive for about 96 hours. NATO Secretary General says Ukraine will not receive a formal invitation to join the alliance at its summit in Lithuania next month. Jens Stoltenberg saying NATO hasn't discussed completely the issue of Ukraine's membership, but they're working on it. Former President Donald Trump tearing into Quinnipiac and Fox News for a poll that shows him behind President Biden in a presidential matchup. Trump writing on Truth Social that it's not just an old poll, it's a bad poll. Speaking to Fox News in an interview that aired Monday, Trump said he still believes he won the 2020 election and there's never been a full investigation.
Wisconsin has practically admitted it was rigged. Other states are doing the same right now.
During the interview, Trump was pressed by Brett Baer on the fact that the National Archives did subpoena him over documents. Former president then said the boxes of documents were interspersed among personal things. Authorities are identifying the man killed in a shooting over the weekend near Willowbrook. Reginald Matthews died after gunfire erupted early on Sunday during an illegal weekend gathering in a strip mall parking lot. Governor J.B. Pritzker offered a statement reaffirming his commitment to, quote, banning dangerous weapons. The violent event has led some lawmakers to question the state's approach to guns and crime. State Representative Dan Calkins.
I believe it was Congressman Caston coming out with these pronouncements that, this is about guns. And it's not about guns. It's about people. And I don't understand, why they don't get that.
The incident remains under investigation. There is no one in custody. This morning in Indiana, Governor Eric Holcomb says he will not run for that state's open U.S. Senate seat in 2024. He tells the Indiana Capitol Chronicle he's too busy to run for that seat. The NL Central continues to be up for grabs. Cubs blank the Pirates 8-0. Just 3 1/2 games now separate the Reds, Brewers, Pirates, and Cubs in the NL Central. White Sox lost to the Rangers 5-2. The news, a service of MyPillow. Big news, brand new MyPillow 2.0. Now buy one, get one free with promo code LIBERTY. Visit MyPillow.com and use that promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager says it's time to get informed.
Ignorance is a sin. When bad things are happening, ignorance is willful. If you don't know what Disney is doing to everything associated with children, you have decided to tune out and let others fight.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
So did you know that June is Men's Health Month? Why not? Everybody's got a month. We've just been through a major pandemic. 3 years of your life has been stolen, and now we have to stick around a little while longer. Well, it turns out blood pressure is one of the leading causes of heart attacks. 1 out of every 3 men have it. Most men don't even know it. If you haven't done it, there's an easy way to take care of yourself. And the simplest way is 120 Life. 120 Life is a natural juice drink that helps lower blood pressure without the side effects of pills. Just drink 1 8-ounce bottle a day, which is exactly what I do, and your blood pressure numbers will go down within 2 weeks. Order now. Visit online, 120life.com. That's 120life.com. And now for a limited time, you can save 15%. The coupon code is SUMMER, SUMMER. Save 15%. Coupon code SUMMER, 120life.com. Money back guarantee. Order now. Visit online, 120life.com. That's 120life.com. We need more stuff like this.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
Want some wins? Wintrust Community Banks is proud to be ranked #1 in customer satisfaction with personal banking in Illinois by J.D. Power. That's one win. And we did it for the 2nd year in a row. That's a win-win. And you can now earn even more interest with our new savings rates. That's a win-win-win. To get your savings some wins, visit wintrust.com/locknewrates today. That's wintrust.com/locknewrates. Members FDIC. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
It is 6:38. Let's get a quick update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Lowe's. Shop top summer savings now at Lowe's. Save up to an additional $1,000 on select major kitchen appliances. Plus, save up to $3,165 on select 4-piece LG kitchen suites. See Lowe's.com for details. Inbound Edens, 30 minutes, Lake Cook Road into the junction. It's over an hour from O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. On your inbound Kennedy ride, 52 right now, inbound on the Ike from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson jammed solid Harlem all the way to Kedzie, and the Dan Ryan jammed up in the locals between 51st and Roosevelt. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, sunny and 83 today. Currently 60 degrees at O'Hare. Next news at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Just a couple more stories we're digging up. Talking about Willowbrook and what happened at the strip mall by that apartment complex there over the weekend. The 1 dead, 23 shot.
The Juneteenth celebration.
The 2012, the Hinsdale South grad who was gunned down there. The story from the patch.
Yeah.
2019, Willowbrook shooting leaves 2 injured. Also, same location, Hinsdale Lake Terrace, Route 83 Mockingbird. 2020, Willowbrook teen charged with reckless discharge of a firearm and battery to a police officer. Same location. So
I'm noticing a pattern here. Why didn't they just shut down the strip mall?
Well, it's not the strip mall. It's the apartment complex and the surrounding areas, and it's exactly what Craig in Willowbrook, who called us, or Craig in Burr Ridge, who called us, was telling us about what's happening at that location and has been for several years at least. Things like, seems like conditions have been deteriorating, and what happened Sunday night was a long time in the making. That's the point. Well, it's a wake-up call, maybe, to that region of Chicagoland. Maybe.
Seems like a solvable problem, but we're still waiting to hear from authorities.
All right. We'll hear from another authority here. Danielle Smith is the current premier of Alberta. That's up there in Strange Brewland, Canada. She made some rather remarkable comments given how enthusiastic Canadian politicians were on locking down and restricting the freedoms of their citizens during COVID, you may recall, with that grade school drama teacher, they elected prime minister, leading the charge. Well, Danielle Smith regrets she's got a few, and she offered the rarest of all things.
What?
An apology from a COVIDian politician about over COVIDian policies, and specifically an apology to the bête noire of civilized society, the unvaxxed.
During your campaign, you said that not only would you issue an apology to those prosecuted during COVID restrictions, but you would also grant them amnesty. When can we expect those apologies?
I can apologize right now. I'm deeply sorry for anyone who was inappropriately subjected to discrimination as a result of their vaccine status. I'm deeply sorry for any government employee that was fired from their job because of their vaccine status, and I welcome them back if they want to come back. As for the amnesty, I have to get some legal advice on that, and so I've already asked my staff to request that advice so I can see how we would be able to proceed on that. My view has been that these were political decisions that were made, and so I think that they need political decisions to offer a reversal. But I do want to get some legal advice on that first.
Would that also have to do with the timeline for the proposed amnesties?
I would have to see, if I can do it, I will do it at the earliest opportunity. So I'm hoping within the next week I'll get that legal advice. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh wait, did I hear that correctly? That was an apology.
It was more than an apology. Anybody who was terminated from their job due to the refusal to take the vax will be reinstated. Back pay?
Pain and suffering?
She continued, by the way.
The community that faced the most restrictions on their freedoms in the last year were those who made a choice not to be vaccinated. I don't think I've ever experienced a situation in my lifetime where a person was fired from their job, or not allowed to watch their kids play hockey, or not allowed to go visit a loved one in long-term care or hospital, or not allowed to go get on a plane to either go across the country to see family or even travel across the border. So they have been the most discriminated against group that I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. That's a pretty extreme level of discrimination that we have seen.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
Wow. The only sort of apology that we got here in Chicago is when they gave police officers and firefighters who were unvaccinated their jobs back.
It's no apology.
But that's not no, I'm not. I'm just saying that was some admission of that. But are we ever going to see an apology like that here?
A recognition of the barbarism that occurred during COVID at the hands of their government, Canadian politician to Canadian citizens, and the same things that happened at the hands of our government. But we don't get many COVIDian politicians offering anything like Alberta Premier Daniel Smith offered, do we? And let's remember, I mean, we profiled some of the most egregious abuses. Arthur Pawlowski, that Canadian pastor who had his church invaded by police, shutting down his church. This was in Calgary. And went on sort of a nationwide tour in this country, trying to warn us and encourage us to rise up against the policies that he experienced and he was seeing in his country of Canada.
I think how discriminated you were because you didn't have a vaccination card. And when they had the Vax Pass, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't go bowling. You couldn't go to restaurants. You couldn't go to gyms to work out. Like, you couldn't go to movie theater. Like, your freedoms were completely gone.
How about the freedom convoyers in Canada, the truckers? How about, in addition to an apology, a thank you? A thank you to Canadian truckers who stood up for those people that Danielle Smith just said were discriminated against in the most shameless ways. Yeah, I take either. I take either an apology or a thank you. The people who stood up, the people that were willing to be ridiculed and criticized and accosted as typhoid Marys and so on and so forth. A thank you. We were wrong. Thank you for what you did, because short of what you did, if nobody protested, nobody stood against the onslaught, then we wouldn't have any appreciation for what we did wrong.
We might still be in the same spot, same predicament.
Rand Paul is another one of those people who has deserves a thank you or an apology when it comes to COVID policies and opposing the COVIDian crackdowns. He was on with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend on her Fox Business program, talking about COVID origins. And, nobody has been more of a more dogged in pursuit of accountability with respect to the public health establishment in D.C., starting with Tony Fauci, then Senator Rand Paul. And he made an important point in this discussion about something that we raised yesterday with Dakota Wood from the Heritage Foundation. Bill Gates over in China, yucking it up with Xi, promising $50 million in research funding to President Xi's alma mater to investigate viruses. And what exactly Bill Gates and the Chi-Coms are doing, and frankly, our government is in part financing. Let's have a little accountability here, too. The discussion of what CDC, NIH funds. And this is where Rand Paul goes with Bartiromo, detailing his look at the government funding of places like the Wuhan Virology Lab and what Bill Gates is funding both in China, both with respect to his philanthropy in the direction of the World Health Organization. This is really sort of a salient point here, what research we should and shouldn't be funding and what sort of leadership we should take on the topic.
The blame equally should go not only to Chinese authorities, but to Anthony Fauci and all those who advocated for this. But there has to be a reassessment. Look, Bill Gates has been over there recently. Bill Gates is the largest funder of trying to find these viruses in remote caves and bring them to big cities. So what happened in China is they went 8 to 10 hours south of Wuhan, 200 to 300 feet deep into a cave, found viruses and took them back to a city of 15 million. There are many, many scientists who think that Bill Gates is wrong in funding this, that our government's wrong, that the Chinese government, that really we don't need to be searching for viruses that may never interact with man. And it's worse than that. They bring viruses that we may never interact with. They bring them back to the lab, but then they manipulate them by combining them with other viruses to create viruses that don't exist in nature. But this has largely been funded by Bill Gates. He funds the WHO more than most countries do. Wow. So there's a responsibility there. And I don't think I think he's well intended, but I think he's inadvertently helped to create something that the biggest danger to mankind right now is something that he's been funding, and that is finding these viruses, taking them back to the lab, and manipulating them to make them more dangerous.
That's a great point. And then you create the prospect of a lab leak, as
what happened?
We suspect happened in Wuhan. Going, to the center of the earth to dig out these viruses and bring them back to big cities.
And then manipulate them. Yeah.
That makes sense? We should finance that? Maybe we shouldn't. Carl in Big Cabin, Oklahoma.
Good morning. We're all forgetting about what Canada did to the truck drivers up there in Canada. Took their livelihood from them, took their businesses, put them in jail, and froze their bank accounts.
That's right. They froze their assets.
Yeah.
Oh, and passports had to be handed in.
That's the digital thing going on, and Canada's working on that right now. They want it where you cannot use anything but digital currency up there. Coming soon to a state near you, or.
Well, hopefully not Big Cabin, Oklahoma. Thanks for the call, Carl. Yeah, we did mention the Freedom Convoy, but you're right about the.
They froze their bank accounts.
Yeah, shutting down their businesses, freezing their bank accounts. Right.
And some went to jail.
Enemies of the state. Law-abiding citizens, enemies of the state, because they
protested vaccine mandates.
Well, because they had questions, because they opposed mandates, because they said this doesn't work for me. This is not something I need to do. With a lot of evidentiary basis to make those claims. Yeah. Lee and Hammond.
Yeah, why should anybody apologize? They accomplished exactly what they wanted to do. It's like Schwarzenegger said, screw your Bill of Rights. You're to do what you're told. That's what this whole thing's about, is conditioning.
Thanks for the call, Lee. Well, that's true to some extent. I mean, I think there are people that are nefarious in their intent, and then I think there are people that are useful idiots. And maybe some of the useful idiots have decided they no longer want to be useful idiots. And that's good news. You got to give them room to stop being a useful idiot, just like you have to give people room to come over to your side. I mentioned last week Alex Berenson getting his first apology. Alex Berenson, the former New York Times reporter who's covered COVID, like sort of a one-man band covering COVID. All the lockdown policies, the big pharma details and conflicts and influence and so forth. And he got his first apology. Some mom in the neighborhood who wouldn't allow their kids to play with Alex Berenson's kids anymore because of his posture on COVID mandates, apologized, said, I got scared and I went to a bad place and I was wrong and I won't do that again. It's one at a time, right? Delusions happen en masse. The deprogramming happens one at a time. So at least we have the prospect that maybe some will follow the example that Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta, provided.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Men, you fought hard for the role that you play in your children's lives. This Father's Day, Cordell & Cordell celebrates you the entire month of June. Join us every Friday for our live webinar series, Father's Fridays. There you'll receive much useful information from our panel of speakers. To register, go to CordellCordell.com/Father's Day.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Springfield area attorneys. 2815 Old Jacksonville Road, Suite 103, Springfield, Illinois, 62704.
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift The Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Oh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Want to remodel your kitchen or bathroom? There's only one name to remember: ForEverRemodeling.com. Not Core Ever Remodeling or Door Ever Remodeling or Explore Ever Remodeling. It's ForEverRemodeling.com. Need an addition or whole home remodeling? Don't call 1, 2, 3 Ever Remodeling. It's Forever Remodeling. Want to finish your basement but don't know where to turn? It won't help to think of Store Ever or Snore Ever or Score Ever Remodeling. You want Forever Remodeling. Forever Remodeling is your go-to for the highest quality kitchen, bathroom, whole home remodeling, room additions, and basement finishing. So don't go to Decor Ever Remodeling or Implore Ever Remodeling or Dinosaur Ever Remodeling. When you're ready for your project to take off, go to 1098765 ForEverRemodeling.com. That's the number ForEverRemodeling.com. Or call us at 847-809-3355.
Weather's heating up, so are the savings at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Dan Proft here. If you're looking for a new or pre-owned Mazda, you need to visit Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. You'll find the Mazda you want, and the price you see is the price you get. No games, no gimmicks. And right now is a great time to buy a new Mazda with limited time incentives that only come around once a year. You can lease a 2023 Mazda CX-30 for $286 a month, or a 2023 Mazda CX-5 for $319 a month. That's for 36 months with approved credit through Mazda Capital Services for qualified buyers. Just add license, title, tax, and $324.24 dock fee. Plus, stop in today and ask about the all-new 2024 Mazda CX-90. And keep your Mazda running great all year round. To do that, you schedule your next service appointment right online there at WilkinsMazdaCars.com. WilkinsMazdaCars.com. Wilkins Mazda is conveniently located in Elmhurst off York Road and 290, just minutes from Oak Brook, downtown, and Schaumburg. Experience the next level of excellence at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Visit WilkinsMazdaCars.com. See dealer for details.
I'm Dave Nissen, CEO of PKF Mueller. As a CPA firm, we have been serving our business clients since 1968 by providing audit, accounting, tax, advisory, and consulting services. We as trusted advisors go beyond what our clients hired us to do by thinking outside the box to understand their operations and industry. We want to discover ways to increase their net income and cash flow by reducing costs or increasing efficiencies. To this end, PKF Mueller provides several client value-added services through strategic relationships. Our partners are specialists and serve the same type of clients that we do and add value by reducing our clients' overall electric and gas costs, discovering inaccuracies and overcharges on utility bills, assisting in financing of real estate, and helping to reduce uncollectible accounts and bad debt expenses. To learn more about our value-added service providers and how we can assist, call me directly at 630-524-5274 or dnissen@pkfmueller.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck, what do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. I was doing more things. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. They couldn't believe the change in me. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
What exactly is so wrong with America today? We'll get Abe Greenwald's answer at 7:07. Abe Greenwald, editor of Commentary Magazine, 7:07.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Amy and Dan, authorities have identified a man killed in a shooting near Willowbrook. A Barrington man is charged with induced homicide. 1 dead and 3 hurt in a shooting and crash on Chicago's southwest side, while a U of I grad attacked in Germany has been released from a hospital. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
How worried is former President Trump about his classified document indictment? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Based on the law, 0.
Again, calling it a witch hunt, the former president tells Fox's Brett Baer in his first interview since pleading not guilty to 37 charges, including obstruction.
We
They
were
did
talking.
ask for it.
No, and
they said,
I gave
"Can you
them
give the
some,
documents back?"
And we were talking.
And then they said they went to DOJ to subpoena you to get them
Which
back.
they've never done before.
Right.
And in
But
all
why not
fairness-
just hand them over then?
Because I had boxes. I want to go through the boxes and get all my personal things out.
And the former president was pressed on that.
These are super sensitive national security
Oh, I'm
documents.
Sure, I'm sure,
All right, so here's
I'm sure you'll see real super sensitive that Biden has, because Biden has far more than anybody's ever kept.
And he turned them over when asked.
No, he didn't.
President Biden is under his own special counsel investigation over past documents he had. The president's in California, day 2 of a 3-day trip that includes re-election fundraisers.
Climate change is a genuine, is the existential threat to humanity.
So he announced $600 million in federal funding for coastal communities. The Coast Guard keeps searching and using sonar underwater for a submersible perhaps 2 miles deep in the ocean that went missing on a tour of the Titanic shipwreck.
When the sub was put to sea around 6 a.m. Sunday, about 435 miles off the coast of Newfoundland, it had about 96 hours of air. A Canadian research icebreaker was supporting the Titan and reportedly lost contact with it about an hour and 45 minutes after it submerged.
That's Fox's telling you, Jay Powers. There are 5 people on board. The tour costs $250,000 a person. 9 Egyptian men are in court today in Greece facing manslaughter charges related to human smuggling after last week's disaster off the Greece coast when a fishing boat overcrowded with migrants capsized and sank. 81 of them died. It's feared more than 500 are still missing. America's listening to Fox News.
We have sunshine this morning, 63 degrees. That's 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Authorities have identified the man killed in a shooting over the weekend near Willowbrook. Reginald Meadows died after gunfire erupted early Sunday morning during an illegal weekend gathering in a strip mall parking lot. Governor J.B. Pritzker offered a statement reaffirming his commitment to making Illinois safer for everyone. The violent event has led some lawmakers to question the state's approach to guns. State Representative Dan Calkins.
I believe it was Congressman Caston coming out with these pronouncements that, this is about guns. And it's not about guns. It's about people. And I don't understand, why they don't get that.
1 person is dead, 3 others hurt following a shooting and crash on Chicago's southwest side. 4 males were traveling in a vehicle when someone in another vehicle fired shots in the 3200 block of West 79th. After another violent weekend on Chicago streets, Mayor Brandon Johnson.
But if anyone tells you that they can single-handedly shift the political mindset that has led to the type of disinvestment that is causing the outbreak of the violence that we are all experiencing, if any one person says that they can do that, they're not being honest.
A Barrington man is now charged with drug-induced homicide over the death of a Lake Barrington man. Authorities say the man died of a drug overdose back in December. Detectives determined Luke Napolitano sold the victim drugs the day before his death. Fentanyl was a contributing drug to that death. A University of Illinois grad who survived an attack while hiking in Germany last week is out of the hospital. Kelsey Chang was one of 2 recent U of I grads who were pushed down a steep slope last Wednesday after being attacked near a southern Germany castle. Chang was released from the hospital yesterday. The other woman, Eva Liu of Naperville, died. Cubs blanked the Pirates 8-0 in their series opener at PNC Park. White Sox lost to the Rangers 5-2. College World Series, Tennessee eliminates 8-seeded Stanford with a 6-4 win on Monday. The news, a service of Dan and Amy 24/7, around the clock, all day, every day. Listen now, Dan and Amy 247.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says we have bigger fish to fry.
I almost fell off the couch. Do you know they're changing the names of all these military bases that have Confederate generals in the title? Like Fort Benning in Georgia, changing the name. There's like 5 or 6 military bases. That's what we're worried about? This is what the Democrats sit around and worry about?
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
What happens when America's debt bubble finally bursts? The dollar's value would be destroyed along with the value of your 401k or IRA. And this would be a total catastrophe for the nation. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and the debt bubble is just one more reason why I recommend diversifying your retirement accounts into physical gold. Gold can preserve your savings through almost anything. And if you take advantage of a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, you pay 0 penalties or taxes when you transfer your current retirement funds. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold IRA company I trust, so text PROTECT to 989898 to request your free kit on gold IRAs right now.
Think back to a time when you were doing a physically demanding activity and you wanted to keep going, but you just didn't have the energy to. Having the right nutrition can make a huge difference between energy and long-lasting energy. That's why it's so important to nourish our bodies with the right kind of fuel, and there's no better way of doing that than with fruits and vegetables. You can get the benefits of 31 whole fruits and vegetables by taking a few capsules of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
.707, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of the Barbecue Authority, your go-to for the largest selections of grills, smokers, and outdoor products. Visit the Lyle showroom or online at bbqauthority.com. Sort of a back-to-normal Tuesday, 30 minutes in, Edens, Lake Cook Road into the junction, and an hour 5 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. 55 minutes, 390 into the old post office. Stop and slow North Avenue all the way to the Tri-State. Dan Ryan in, 22 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Heavy and slow on the Veterans I-355, the toll road with brake lights between Maple and the Reagan I-88 on the northbound side. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, mostly sunny skies, high 83. It'll be clear tonight, low 63. And then sunny, warm day tomorrow, the high at 87. Thursday, a partly sunny day, the high at 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
63 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Abe Greenwald over at Commentary Magazine has a interesting piece about what ails America. Why do things seem so off? And, of course, we've had challenging times in this country before, with war, with terrible government policy that wrongly subjugated some Americans. We know all this. But why do things seem so much more precarious to so many in 2023 than they did in 1973 or 1923, for that matter? About trust. He focuses on trust, as Mr. Greenwald, and the disintegration of American institutions, the civic and cultural institutions that provide forum to our free society. And let me give you an example of why I think Greenwald is onto something, and an example of why we have this trust crisis, as he calls it. This is an exchange yesterday. I'm just going to present one side of it. But John Kennedy, Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana, had an exchange with our very own Dick Durbin about the lack of forthrightness from the FBI as it pertains to allegations that, by an FBI whistleblower, that the Bidens have been bribed by a Ukrainian oligarch. And Durbin makes the point, look, this 1023 with the allegation was unearthed during the Trump administration. So Bill Barr had access to this. And if Bill Barr and the Trump Department of Justice didn't see a there, well, then maybe it's because there isn't a there. And all of this is just so much conspiracy theorizing. This was Durbin's position. Here's Senator John Kennedy's response.
Once again, you have to consider this in context. You correctly described a 1023. When Senator Grassley first raised this issue, after the whistleblower came to him, the FBI wouldn't even acknowledge there was a 1023. Then the story changed. There was a 1023, but you can't see it. Yeah. Then the story changed. Okay, you can see the 1023, but we're going to heavily redact it. I suppose they didn't know Senator Grassley had seen the original document, but he knew what they redacted, which were the allegations about the tapes. Consider the context. I'm not going to go back through what I just said, but the American people are looking at all of this, and they just want an answer. I agree with you. We don't need a conspiracy. Let's end the conspiracy. But for the life of me, I can't understand why our Attorney General and our FBI Director can't come in front of the Judiciary Committee, in front of God and country, and answer Chuck and Lindsay's question. And if they say, we're investigating this, then we back off. If they say there was nothing to it, perhaps we should ask, okay, can you explain why? What's unreasonable about that, given our history over the past 5 years?
What is unreasonable about that? And by the way, that moving target that the FBI provided in terms of what they would concede and not concede, as memorialized by Kennedy there, that was compounded last week by that high-handed performance of Deputy Director Paul Abate before the same Senate Judiciary Committee. Abe Greenwald is the executive editor of Commentary Magazine, and he joins us now. Abe Greenwald, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So as you heard John Kennedy detail there, it's examples like this that lead to not just a loss of trust, a hostility toward institutions that you would otherwise, once upon a time, maybe even 6 or 7 years ago, have given the benefit of the doubt?
Yeah, I think it's a whole range of institutions. Everything from the FBI and the Justice Department to our public health officials, to the medical and educational establishment. They've sort of failed us, and in their arrogance, they have covered up their failings, lied about them in some cases, and yes, they no longer get the benefit of the doubt in the public mind. I think to a much greater extent than before. It's not that no one believes the official story, as I say, on a given topic anymore, but fewer and fewer Americans are inclined to do so, given what's gone on in recent years, especially everything since 2020 and the pandemic.
Right, and we were just mentioning before you joined us this remarkable apology that was offered by the Premier of Alberta, Canada, in terms of how the unvaxxed were treated up there in her neck of the woods. I mean, something that you have not heard, will not hear, I suspect, from those who were the most aggressive Trudeau-style COVIDian lockdown politicians at the gubernatorial level, at the congressional level. It's the old saying, a little humility goes a long way, but humility is in short supply in our politics.
Yeah, well, humility has always been in short supply in our politics. It's that during the pandemic, though, this was an opportunity for the experts, the people with advanced degrees in topics that a lot of us don't know a whole lot about. This was their moment to shine. This was their life's work. If you were a virologist or toiling away in infectious diseases, you suddenly had the public's ear, and you made the most of it. And so it's not even strictly politicians and their lack of humility that we're talking about here. It's this expert class that showed up, made pronouncements, got many, many, many things wrong, were dishonest about many other things, and sort of slinked away as everything sort of subsided.
Yeah, it was their Super Bowl. And Dr. Fauci, I mean, he made millions of dollars, and is he ever going to be held accountable?
Well, Fauci to me is such an interesting case because he's the perfect example because he's sort of gone from the public eye right now.
Yeah.
He's removed himself from center stage, just as recent investigations are really making clear that the origins of the virus were overwhelmingly likely the lab in Wuhan. I mean, we've gotten to the point in some of these investigations where they can pinpoint the first sort of 3 scientists in Wuhan who came down with it in the fall of 2019.
So their imposition, the imposition of their will on people who don't know better, was their attitude. It continues to be their attitude. So how can that breed anything other than mistrust? And where do you think this leads?
Well, I think we've sort of seen where it leads. Unfortunately, one aspect of our trust crisis is that as we've lost trust in let's call it the establishment and the expert class and the official story, is that conspiracy theorists, people offering alternative ideas and alternative facts have popped up, and they're peddling a different set of falsehoods. But people are much more willing to believe those just because they don't trust the official story anymore. I can understand this to some degree, but I think it's also a mistake.
Well, right, but it's hard to give somebody much attention when they lead with "you're an insurrectionist." They lead with "you're a threat to our democracy." They lead with "you're Typhoid Mary." That's not exactly a good opening for a conversation about anything important, is it?
Well, I'd have to know in particular what you're talking about, but
Well, what do you mean? What I'm talking about?
when you say they lead with, what do you mean they lead with?
They lead with that January 6th. Everybody at January 6th is an insurrectionist. By extension, MAGA supporters are insurrectionists. The FBI is penning memos about monitoring conservatives conservative Catholics who attend the Latin Mass. They're characterizing parents who attend school board meetings to protest COVID policies or curriculum choices as rabble rousers, if not threats to the public order. Oh my gosh, school board members are under assault and so on and so forth. This is an illiberal faction of people. I mean, the stories are legion here.
Well, I certainly agree with you that the idea that that the sort of terrorist warnings about concerned parents and things of that nature are disgusting and dangerous. But you'll get no sympathy for January 6th rioters from me. So
I'm not asking for sympathy for January 6th rioters. I'm saying that everybody who attended January 6th, number one, wasn't a rioter, and that's being mischaracterized. Number two, you didn't have to be a January 6th if you are MAGA adjacent. If you were a Trump voter, you owe the nation an apology per Rachel Maddow and anybody else on MSNBC's primetime line, but so forth. I mean, the clear effort afoot was to characterize anybody who is party to Trump and even just in the simple act of voting as a threat to democracy or somebody who was a participant in undermining our democracy.
Look, I think that the claims about the threat to democracy are ridiculous and political. And histrionic, but I also feel the exact same way about the claims about rigged elections on the right. So, and that is my point about what happens when trust devolves, is that we see it coming from all sides, and nonsensical stories get picked up, and people have faith in the wrong ideas.
What did you think about Barack Obama's recent pronouncements? Once he was done calling for digital fingerprints to monitor misinformation, he moved over to trying to diminish Tim Scott, saying this of Senator Scott: "I think there's a long history of African American or other minority candidates within the Republican Party who will validate America and say everything is great and we can all make it." And he said, "I'm not being cynical about Tim Scott individually. I may be suggesting that the rhetoric of 'can't we all get along' has to be undergirded with an honest accounting of our past and our present," as if Tim Scott is unwilling to offer an honest accounting of our past and present. That's just a fancy way of calling Tim Scott and Uncle Tim, as the more aggressive on the left are willing to call him. And so the deterioration of race relations that really started to nosedive with the ascension of Barack Obama.
Well, I mean, I think it's a pathetic statement. Tim Scott doesn't pretend that America is perfect, but he doesn't deny that America is great and that the country has made great progress. I think the sort of the racial tensions that you speak of, I don't know that it kicked up around Obama's election exactly. I mean, to me, once again, 2020 is the year that sort of broke the back of American trust, not only with things having to do with the pandemic, but then around the killing of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter riots and all the dishonesty about that, and then the institutional accusations that everyone was a bigot and that we needed sensitivity training and that, we had unconscious bias. We were bigots even if we didn't know it. To me, those are all deep manifestations of the trust crisis.
Oh, I agree, but I mean, just the survey results. Of CNN, 54% say relations between blacks and whites gotten worse since Obama became president, including 57% of whites and 40% of blacks. That's up sharply from a year earlier. That's from 2016. So in his second term, I mean, he certainly when there was promise that he was going to be someone who advanced racial comity, and he did not. And then, of course, then it fell off the table with the events that you discussed. So, I mean, in terms of speaking of fingerprints, in terms of fingerprints on this disintegration of trust and the accompanying problems, Barack Obama certainly bears his share of culpability. And since he's inserting himself into 2023 and 2024's election, I thought we should include him in the conversation.
I don't like what Barack Obama did as president. I don't hold him accountable for racial strife in the country, though, at all. The other thing that happened around that time, I guess around 2012, 2013 or so, was when the Black Lives Matter movement got started. And I think that was far more ruinous for race relations than anything that came out of the White House, out of the Obama White House, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, although identitarianism also got its modern advent within that administration, it persists to this day. Of course, it's been greatly enhanced, and identitarianism is, by definition, balkanizing, isn't it? So if you want to distrust people, now you distrust people based on their identity, not their conduct or their belief systems.
Oh, it's completely poisonous. And this is the left in general is obsessed with group identity. When of course the way through to a more fair America where everyone has more opportunity is to assess everyone on an individual basis, and that is very much fallen out of favor on the left generally. Yeah.
I mean, remember when President Obama said if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin?
Yeah, I have to. Again, that doesn't particularly offend me. I'm sorry. That I don't. There are a great many things Obama did that I take issue with, but I don't see him as having exacerbated race relations in this country. I just don't.
Abe Greenwald, executive editor, Commentary Magazine. Abe Greenwald, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When this is the sound of a waterfall in nature, there's no cause for concern. But when it's the sound of water gushing through your living room ceiling because a pipe burst inside the wall, there's reason to panic unless you pick up the phone and call 1-800-SERVPRO. Only the cleanup and restoration specialists at ServPro can help make fire and water damage like it never even happened. So make the call to 1-800-SERVPRO at the first sign of water damage. Franchises are independently owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Test Director Rick from ServPro, the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction. It's my job to make sure our pros are prepared for anything. Storm damage? Fixed. Flood damage? We're on it. Fire damage? Not anymore. Aliens? What? Aliens? We cleaned those sites a while ago. No matter the disaster, our pros will make it like it never even happened. Find out why ServPro is the #1 choice for residential and commercial restoration projects large and small. Visit servpro.com today.
You can shed that fat, be slimmer for the summer. No more wearing cover-ups or T-shirts in the pool. NJ Diet will help you the natural way. There are no shots, no hormones, and no surgery. You lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40-plus pounds in only 40 days with NJ Diet. They use your hair, saliva, and blood work along with bioenergetic scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone so you can finally lose the weight. Then NJ Diet uses DNA info to help you keep it off. Best of all, it's contractually guaranteed. You're fully supervised the entire time to make sure you're burning fat and not just losing water. And you even get Dr. T's personal email and phone number. Dr. T is Dr. Turovets, the founder of NJ Diet. NJ Diet has locations close by in Skokie and Oakbrook, or is available from home with live online video consultations. Call 855-5-NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
It's almost time for the annual AM 560 golf outing presented by Signature Bank. And this year, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responders and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Thursday, June 22nd at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, which includes lunch and either breakfast or dinner. Business owners, when you purchase a foursome, you'll receive 25 one-minute commercials to air on AM 560 to promote your business and a free digital marketing analysis. And this year, we have twosomes available in addition to foursomes. Reserve your spot today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Joe Cotton Ford and Carroll Stream, Crosscom Public Adjusters, Waukegan Roofing, and by KWCC Construction.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Mick McDonald, co-founder of Configure One, the global leader in configure, price, and quote software for manufacturers, and a new customer of Signature Bank. Configure One recently came to Signature Bank for a loan under the Paycheck Protection Program after our previous business bank of 20 years left us out in the cold. When I called Signature, I worked directly with one of the founders of the bank, who assured me that my application would be submitted immediately. 1 week later, my loan was approved and funded, and I moved my entire banking relationship to Signature. Signature Bank is incredibly responsive, fully transparent, and a great partner for my business.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk crime and punishment locally with Ted Dabrowski, president of wirepoints.org. All things Illinois policy related, 737.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Another beautiful day, sunshine, 83.
We're looking for some rain, and it is not in the forecast, at least for the next 5 days. 63 degrees at 7:31. Rescuers in a remote area of the Atlantic are racing against time. They're trying to find a missing submarine, a submersible, carrying 5. Coast Guard Rear Admiral John Mauger says after being notified, they started a search for the missing sub near the wreck of the Titanic.
Search both the surface of the water, search from the air, and then launch equipment that would enable us to detect any vessels under the water.
The submersible named Titan was part of a mission by Ocean Gate Expeditions. It was carrying a veteran pilot, a renowned British adventurer, and 2 members of a Pakistani business family. Police and witnesses say a man with an axe attacked random diners at 3 neighborhood Chinese restaurants in Auckland, New Zealand. 3 of the 4 attacked remain in critical condition. Authorities in southern Brazil say a former student entered a school and began shooting, killing a 16-year-old girl, severely wounding another. Brazil has seen about 12 violent school attacks in the last 14 months. The U.S. and China are agreeing to try and stabilize their relationship to avoid veering into conflict.
Both the United States and China have an obligation to manage this relationship responsibly. Doing so serves the best interests of the United States, of China, indeed, of the world.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Beijing. Former President Trump says the National Archives just needed to ask in order to get back classified documents.
Because I had boxes. I want to go through the boxes and get all my personal things out. I don't want to hand that over to NARA yet.
Trump was arraigned last week on federal charges related to his handling of classified documents after he left office. Authorities have identified the man killed in a shooting over the weekend near Willowbrook. Reginald Meadows died after gunfire erupted Sunday during an illegal weekend gathering in a strip mall parking lot near Route 83. 2 dozen were wounded. Milwaukee's violent summer is showing no signs of slowing down. Police in that city say 12 were shot, 3 died from late Sunday night to yesterday afternoon. A field house in Chicago's Gage Park neighborhood will soon become temporary housing for hundreds of illegal migrants. Beginning July 1st, they will be moved into the field house after staying in area police stations. And no one is hurt after a helicopter crashes onto Cedar Lake in northwest Indiana. The craft spun out of control when it hit the water, but the pilot and passenger were able to get out and swim to shore. Cubs over the Pirates 8-0. White Sox lost to the Rangers 5-2. College World Series top seed Wake Forest rallied from 2 down for a 3-2 win over the number 5 seed LSU. The news, a service of MyPillow. Big news, brand new MyPillow 2.0. Now buy one, get one free with promo code LIBERTY. Machine washable, dryable. Visit MyPillow.com and use that promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk goes on the attack.
I'm exhausted talking about the Biden thing. It doesn't interest me, but I have to get over that. With Jim Jordan and Speaker McCarthy, we have to now say, okay, you're going to run this crook for the White House in 2024. Equal and opposite reaction, folks. This guy is the El Chapo of political corruption. He is the kingpin.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. This year, Illinois will likely spend $1 billion on illegal immigrants. The healthcare cost is already budgeted for $550 million, welcoming centers for $105 million, adding in rent, legal, education, and other support, and you are really at $1 billion. The Chicago Tribune highlighted the migrant crisis, telling the story of a newly arrived 38-year-old man and his family who walked and took trains from Venezuela to the U.S. border, crossed it illegally, and eventually ended up in Chicago. According to the article, the man felt trapped in Venezuela with its corruption and scarcity, saying, "There is no medication there. Everything is scarce. Food, education." Mayor Johnson's Deputy Chief of Staff, Pasión Zayas, blamed the situation on failed U.S. foreign policy. The president of a Latino nonprofit, Unidos U.S., Janet Murguia, said the influx of migrants is a humanitarian crisis that is stemming from a broken asylum system. But it's not our foreign policy or our asylum system with its clear, internationally recognized rules that are the problem. An asylum seeker, after all, must show that he or she has a reasonable fear of future persecution based on race, religion, national origin, political opinion, or membership in a social group. Economic interests and political corruption are not on that list. People like Murguia and Pasión Zayas, who wrongly input American policy as the cause of the migrant problem, do real harm to the rule of law and the furtherance of actual policies that would help solve the problem. Both are wrong, and shame on the Tribune for not providing more details. The truth is, socialist governments lead to economic and political ruin. That's what happened in Venezuela. A country with the largest oil reserves in the world was taken over first by socialism and now is run by a dictator. Americans are generous, but there's no way we can take in all the world's poor. I'm Jeannie Ives. Be informed. Sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
Hiring is a lot easier with Indeed. Their powerful platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in the same place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
7:37. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And right now we're seeing 32 minutes on the inbound Edens from Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy at 81 right now. We've jumped up because of an accident. Now on the right-hand shoulder, it's between Ohio and the Hubbard Street Tunnel. Kennedy outbound, 40 minutes back out to the big airport. It's an hour on the Ike from 390 into the old post office. Solid traffic inbound Harlem to Kedzie on the inbound Stevenson, where it's 53 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny and 83 today, clear 63 overnight. Sunny and warm tomorrow, high 87. 63 at O'Hare and along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly confab with Ted Dabrowski, President of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. In BLM Brandon's first month as mayor of the city of Chicago, some computing by WirePoints, data gathering. Major crimes up 38% year over year, May 15th to June 11 of this year versus last year. But of course, you get the standard excuse. Well, he inherited the problem.
Right, that's what he said.
Mm-hmm. I inherited the problem. Right, and we inherited the same policies that produced the problems that you inherited.
Yeah.
So you're doing the same thing, as witnessed by 71 shot and 11 dead this weekend. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Ted. Ted, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. It's pretty sad. I was tracking the ABC 7, who's done the most up-to-date reporting. You almost need a counter because this number started at in the 20s and it goes to 40, and then I saw 50s, and then this morning I saw 71 shot. They're probably still counting. 71 shot, 11 murdered. It's something that Brandon Johnson inherited, and so he's still kind of watching to see what happens.
Well, I mean, this is the whole, I inherited a mess routine. It's always,
fault.
And you get a honeymoon for a while, but I mean, is there any indication that he is going to do anything different than Lori Lightfoot did? I mean, is there any...
he said we have to change the culture, and then he said corporations have to help out.
Well, okay,
I don't know why corporations have.
So what is he going to do? What are you going to do? What are the policy choices? Is there any policy, Ted, that you've heard emanating from the mouth of BLM Brandon that represents a different approach?
No, not at all. Actually, he's leaning into the traditional approach that Lightfoot took, and more this quote spending money in communities and maybe bringing in the corporations. They're going to bring their wisdom in. They haven't had any wisdom for a couple decades, so now they're going to show up. The concern for me is that, well, it's not a concern, but it's the continuation. He's actually leaning into it more. And he even said, when he said these comments yesterday, that I knew what I was inheriting. He also added in there's something like, anybody who thinks you can stop this in one day, it's not going to be the policing that does it. He just continues to move away from really what I think we need to really get serious about is tamping down on crime immediately. And this is typical of a person who's never run a business. When you have a crisis, when you have a fire, the first thing you do is put it out, and then you solve the root causes. He's letting the fire burn. And when you look at the Memorial Day weekend, when you look at the weekend after that, last one we had a week ago, we had cold weather, so it was I think only 4 murdered. But we're back. These are big numbers, and we're tracking pretty badly to start we were under last year's murder count. Now we're going to get pretty close to tracking the same level. So he doesn't have any idea of how to put out the fire, and so he's going to be just watching. And I think as we talked about before, it's all black. A lot of it's black on black. The blacks are the victims. He's going to lose control and backing of the people that put him in there.
Well, what's the latest on when he takes office? He's going to move up 200 foot patrol officers and put them in the detective division. Has any of that happened?
Well, I looked at the count of the beat cops. They're down 19% a couple of months ago compared to when Lori Lightfoot took office. So we had many fewer beat cops. It's up slightly, but still not anywhere where it needs to be. So it's still down a good, whatever it was, 17% or something. So the beat cops aren't there. And, that was one of the problems, I think, at the Lincoln. There was the shootings in Lincoln Park at the Lincoln Zoo, and there were no beat cops to be found if I saw the reporting right. So it's a big mess. But I will tell you this. Governor Pritzker did say something over the weekend about this on Friday to Mike Flannery. And it's funny to hear him say it because he doesn't say things like this, but he did finally come out and say we need more policemen.
Oh, wow.
He said we need more, this 1,500 more. But of course, he didn't say anything about the fact that you can throw more policemen in there, but if they don't have the backing, if they don't have if they don't have prosecutions to back them, if they don't have sentencing to back them, you can put as many policemen as you want. It's not going to make a difference.
Pritzker doesn't care one iota about Chicago. He doesn't want any part of it, because if he intercedes in any meaningful way, then he owns what's happening in Chicago. He is staying, just like he stayed away from the mayor's race, he's staying as far away from anything Chicago related as he can, other than making sort of pro forma, more police statements like that, and then running away, to the extent that his legs won't break, running away from these issues.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's, from a political perspective, there's no reason for him to touch it, especially if he's got his presidential ambitions. So he's got to pretend that Brandon Johnson, he'll throw Brandon Johnson into the bus when he needs to, and he'll throw a few, like you said, a few pro forma things. Brandon won't do any of them, and Brandon will own it. Well, and Brandon should own it. But then you stretch it out to Willowbrook, right? And then you start to get back into Pritzker's territory, because that's more of a state issue, right? It's starting to spread out in the state, and that the 71 shootings we're talking about don't even include the 20-something that were in Willowbrook. So the numbers are massive.
Yeah, and we won't see him airlifted out to Willowbrook and bolted on a podium to address the shooting in Willowbrook, will we? Like you did in Highland Park.
No, I a lot of people are throwing out this thing. Well, it's all big cities. I just looked up New York City, and New York City, year to date has 168. Well, this is through June 11th. 168 murders. We have 257, and they're far, far larger than we are in population terms. So we still have about 5 times the murder rate right now this year than New York City. So Chicago is kind of sticking out as a sore thumb for the big cities.
Maybe some of the impacts will start to be felt at the professional level in Chicago and Chicagoland. This was interesting. Invesco sold its Northwater Apartments building, a 400-unit property on North Water Street in Streeterville, at a 28% discount over the price it paid in 2016. Brokers and landlords say many out-of-town investors have redlined Chicago, wary of the risk of rising property taxes, the city struggles in addressing crime, and the tax and spend policies of the new mayor.
You can't blame him for redlining it, because again, the same thing that he said earlier about more money for investments and all that. Civic Federation put out a report about which taxes that he wants to pursue need state support, and which taxes can be done locally.
Right.
And I don't know. He may not get the support he wants from the state. And if that's the case, as we've said before, he's going to have to hike property taxes and head taxes, and those taxes that only he controls. It's got to scare people, because he really has no outlets. He's not attacking the crime problem, so that's getting worse. The finances are going to continue to get worse as the COVID money runs out. And when you take into account all this doom loop stuff of fewer people coming in, rents and leases, and occupancy rates going down, the doom loop thing becomes a more and more real thing. I don't. It's really hard to predict. Chicago is still a beautiful town. It still has great assets and all that. So taking a 5 and 10 year view is hard to say, but the trajectory right now is horrendous, I'd say.
Something else that's interesting, and it's going to lead more people perhaps to lands of greater opportunity like the Peach State and the Sunshine State. Georgia and Florida are the latest states to remove a barrier to state jobs. Government employers can now hire any worker with the skills necessary to do a particular job, regardless of whether he or she has a college degree. those are Republican governors, Kemp and, of course, DeSantis, who signed similar legislation into law that you can work for the states of Georgia and Florida, even if you don't have a college degree. It's up to the agency and the personnel to decide.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting issues in there. We've seen how a lot of the people who are degreed aren't that smart, but you need smart people and you need good people to do work. And I think in today's world, you don't necessarily have to have a college degree to do that. But certainly to fund, it's getting harder and harder to hire people. So, it's smart. I think they're freeing up the market and it's smart.
Yeah, right. And removing
the opposite of what we are.
Yeah, removing an artificial barrier. You have a college degree, that means you're necessarily more capable of doing a particular job in state government or frankly just about anywhere else. Maybe not. How about the employer decides, even if the employer is the state? I like that. And I like the non-college degree being able to compete with the college degree. That's what I really like. To really expose the quality of the education that so many of these college-educated young people earned and associated skill sets or lack thereof.
Well, yeah, I mean, you see a lot of these college degrees now that aren't really college degrees. They're, all these different programs, all these different majors that mean absolutely nothing. And I think, and I've seen, I've done a good bit of hiring in my past and then recently, and the kids aren't prepared in the way they used to be, and they certainly don't have the skills, and that's because the universities no longer demand the same anymore. So,
yeah, they teach wokeness and how to be, political warriors rather than, stick to the curriculum. Don't you think?
We're gonna get to a point. We're gonna get to a point soon where you don't have to have a high school diploma, and we'll still let you compete.
Well, I tell you, there's something to be scared about right now in Illinois, and this has been a big problem. Back in 2017, in K through 12. Rauner signed and is the worst. And I've said this over and over. It was the worst until Amendment 1, this Workers' Right Amendment. The evidence-based funding bill for school education is the worst bill ever signed by Illinois. And what that does is it guarantees money be thrown into education each year, regardless of how well they're doing, regardless of any accountability standards. They quote just keep putting $350 million more into K through 12. Well, now the universities have caught on to that. They say, hey, how come K through 12 gets automatic money? They get it like entitlement money. So now the universities are calling for similar type education-based funding for higher ed in Illinois. And if that isn't money poorly spent, I don't know what is.
Money poorly spent. That's what we do in Illinois. Ted Dabrowski, President of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks as always, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts: knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
Hi, this is Steve. I'm in Italy, away from my business. But I'm not worried about the office or my absence from it. I'm confident because I've got Turnkey on my side. They've helped me solve several problems for my business, so I can finally relax for a bit while I let the business work. Not only did Turnkey help with my IT problems, their expert team gave me a custom consultation that found additional profit centers in my company. They've helped me focus on a new direction for my business. It's not easy to relax when you own a business, but with our partnership with Turnkey, I feel confident, resolved, and ready to deliver. Now, I'm going to relax, have a Peroni, and depend on the direction Turnkey has helped me embrace. They can help your business too. Visit turnkey.pro to start a conversation today. That's turnkey.pro.
The pros at Turnkey share your values. They know IT and they know small business. They're Chicagoland's small business champions. Visit turnkey.pro to book your appointment today. That's turnkey.pro.
One of the most important decisions you can make as a parent is where you send your kids to school. But these days, it's never been harder to know which school is best. Public schools have changed a lot, and you might be thinking about sending your child to a private Christian school. But you also know that private school can be expensive, and in this economy, you might think it's not an option. Well, think again. With halfpriceschools.com, you can purchase tuition vouchers for half the price of normal tuition for private schools. For nearly 10 years, halfpriceschools.com has helped families from all over Chicagoland make the dream of private school a reality, and that can be the reality for you and your child too. Just go to halfpriceschools.com, search for a private Christian school near you, and purchase a voucher. It's that easy. Visit halfpriceschools.com. That's halfpriceschools.com.
It's almost time for the annual AM 560 golf outing presented by Signature Bank. And this year, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responders and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Thursday, June 22nd at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, which includes lunch and either breakfast or dinner. Business owners, when you purchase a foursome, you'll receive 25 one-minute commercials to air on AM 560 to promote your business and a free digital marketing analysis. And this year, we have twosomes available in addition to foursomes. Reserve your spot today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Joe Cotton Ford and Carroll Stream, Crosscom Public Adjusters, Waukegan Roofing, and by KWCC Construction.
You've heard Remke's Garage commercials on AM 560, and now they specialize in servicing Sprinters and light-duty diesels. But the experts at Remke's also service Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks. So if you own an Isuzu or Chevy low-cab forward truck but aren't sure where to get it repaired, take it to Remke's Garage, your #1 dealer alternative for repairs to your Isuzu NPR, Isuzu F-Series, or Chevy low-cab forward truck. Whether gas or diesel, your truck is the lifeline of your business. That's why Remke's Garage offers free loaners while your truck is being serviced. They'll even pick up and deliver for your convenience. Remke's Garage has the factory scan tool to properly diagnose Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks. Their commitment to your business is backed with a complimentary maintenance plan and free 2-year warranty. Go to remkesgarage.com to learn more about their specialization in Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks and schedule your appointment today. That's Remkes, REMKES, garage.com.
Think back to a time when you were doing a physically demanding activity and you wanted to keep going, but you just didn't have the energy to. Having the right nutrition can make a huge difference between energy and long-lasting energy. That's why it's so important to nourish our bodies with the right kind of fuel, and there's no better way of doing that than with fruits and vegetables. You can get the benefits of 31 whole fruits and vegetables by taking a few capsules of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
It's a big deal because your finances are a really big deal. Wintrust Community Banks would like to announce our newest and greatest 11-month CD rate with a whopping 5.35% APY. Act now and you can lock in 5.35%. Just go to wintrust.com/locknewrates and start earning more. Annual percentage yield accurate as of May 5th, 2023 and assumes funds remain on deposit until maturity. Minimum daily balance of 1 cent required to obtain APY. $1,000 minimum to open. New money only. Offer may change at any time and without notice. Member FDIC.
Hey, I'm Raquel.
And I'm Babette.
Here to invite you to listen to our show, Belly of the Beast,
where we tackle all the hot topics and issues that you are talking about today.
So join us each week for our
hard-hitting,
fun,
informative,
topical,
out there
radio show where we leave nothing on the table.
Belly of the Beast, heard every Saturday evening at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer. And follow us on Facebook at Belly of the Beast IL.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Checking out of Hotel California, we'll discuss the exodus from California with a documentarian at 8:08.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Authorities have identified a man killed in a shooting near Willowbrook. A Barrington man is charged with drug-induced homicide. Cook County judge is accused of making racial comments. Cubs blank the Pirates. White Sox a loss to the Rangers. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Is it floating on the ocean's surface or stuck 2 miles deep underwater? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The Coast Guard keeps searching the surface and using sonar under it, trying to find a submersible still missing on a tour of the Titanic shipwreck. Rear Admiral John Mauger says,
we're bringing in technical expertise to understand both the dynamics of underwater search and underwater rescue.
If the sub's intact, they may only have enough air to last till Thursday. There are 5 people on board. The expedition company CEO Stockton Rush, French Titanic researcher Paul-Henri Nargalet, and
a statement was sent to the Associated Press from one of Pakistan's most prominent families, saying Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman were on the trip and that they're praying for their safe return. Hamish Harding, a British billionaire adventurer, lives in Dubai and was one of the people on board, according to Action Aviation, a company for which Harding serves as chair.
As Fox's Tanya J. Powers, farther south in the Atlantic, what's expected to be the first hurricane of the season.
Tropical storm Brett is continuing along its forecasted track with sustained winds at 40 miles an hour. It's due to strengthen in the coming day or so and reach hurricane status before crossing into the Caribbean, where it should then weaken.
Fox's Eben Brown. It's too early to know if Brett might threaten the U.S. Former President Trump tells Fox he has zero worry about the federal charges he pleaded not guilty to a week ago related to classified documents he had at his Florida resort, telling Fox's Brett Baer he's a political target.
There are 31 documents listed: nuclear capabilities of foreign countries, related to military capabilities of foreign countries, intelligence briefings on foreign countries. Why do you want to hold on to those documents after you're president?
I don't say I do.
You just didn't know what was in the boxes?
With NARA giving them back. All of a sudden, we've got raided.
But he's accused of obstruction, not wanting to give some back. Now, President Biden's also being investigated for having passed classified documents. He's in California for the second of a 3-day trip. He's focused on artificial intelligence issues today and raising more money for his re-election campaign. America's listening to Fox News.
65 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Authorities are identifying the man killed in a shooting over the weekend near Willowbrook as Reginald Meadows, who died after gunfire erupted Sunday during an illegal weekend gathering in a strip mall parking lot. Milwaukee's violent summer shows no signs of slowing down. 6 people, all teens, were wounded in a shooting at the end of Milwaukee's Juneteenth celebration. While here in Chicago, 1 person is dead, 3 others are hurt following a shooting and crash on the southwest side. A Cook County judge is accused of making racial comments to a defendant and his attorney. Attorney Matthew Fricori filed a motion last week to substitute Judge William Hooks from presiding over a case of a defendant charged with aggravated domestic battery. The motion accuses Hooks of making racial remarks about Middle Eastern men. A Wisconsin woman working at a suburban spa is charged with prostitution. Zia Ping Mei was arrested last week at the Vivi Spa in Elburn. The business will be closed until further notice. A woman from Roselle is charged with more than a dozen counts of animal cruelty to several dogs in her care. DuPage County authorities saying Ariana Bueno faces 21 misdemeanor charges of cruelty to animals and violations of owners' duties. Cubs blanked the Pirates 8-0. White Sox lost to the Rangers 5-2. The news a service of the Barbecue Authority, your go-to for the largest selections of grills, smokers, and outdoor products is the Barbecue Authority. Online at bbqauthority.com. 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Boeing just received an order for 40 737 MAX planes from leasing company Avalon at the Paris Air Show. Avalon, based in Dublin, serves 147 airlines across 65 countries. Jeep's parent company Stellantis is partnering with Foxconn to create a new business that will sell semiconductors to the auto industry. The business will be called Silicon Auto and will be headquartered in the Netherlands. U.S. Steel is boosting its expectations for the year. The company says it's seeing the benefit of higher prices. More high-end shoppers are buying from discount stores. Research firm InMarket says there's been a 4% average increase in dollar store visits this year among those making more than $100,000. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Brandon Tatum explains what will win in 2024.
If you were just running for the Republican ticket, then just keep being far-right extreme Republican, and you're going to win. But if you think you're going to get people in the middle, you're going to win an election. You have to be more than the Republicans love you, but the Democrats hate you more. You cannot win with that theology.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Great Britain's National Health Service has just banned the use of puberty blockers for treating gender dysphoria, noting they're just not reversible. Apparently, Britain shares the misgivings about so-called gender-affirming treatment for minors expressed already by Sweden, Finland, Norway, and France. Increasingly, the U.S. medical community is an outlier in its enthusiasm for medicalizing and performing life-altering surgeries on vulnerable children. It's dismaying that socialized health systems have led the way in protecting minors. The benefit of a private system is that it puts citizens, rather than government, in control of health care. How awful if instead fragile children are being pushed to make irreversible choices at tender ages to advance a sexual and moral agenda while putting fat profits in drug companies and surgeons' pockets. Not only would it violate the Hippocratic Oath, it would confirm the left's darkest suspicions of capitalism. We need to pull back.
What happens when America's debt bubble finally bursts? The dollar's value would be destroyed along with the value of your 401k or IRA. And this would be a total catastrophe for the nation. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and the debt bubble is just one more reason why I recommend diversifying your retirement accounts into physical gold. Gold can preserve your savings through almost anything. And if you take advantage of a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, you pay 0 penalties or taxes when you transfer your current retirement funds. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold IRA company I trust, so text PROTECT to 989898 to request your free kit on gold IRAs right now.
8:07, and let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. 30 minutes on the inbound Edens commute from Lake Cook Road into the junction. Kennedy slowly climbing, up near 75 minutes right now. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Eisenhower is just under an hour, 390 into the old post office, about 56 minutes. Stevenson inbound, settling in at about 50 right now from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive with an accident inbound at Central. Tri-State Tollway stop-and-go traffic northbound between Roosevelt and the Grand Avenue curve. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
It'll be a mostly sunny day. Our high today at 83. Clear skies tonight, low 63. And then mostly sunny and warm for tomorrow, the high 87. Thursday, a partly sunny day, high near 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
69 at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We talked exhaustively over the years about the exodus from Illinois, a exodus not seen since the Israelites fled Egypt, at least on that scale. But of course, Illinois is not the only state that is pushing people to relocate. You knew it was going bad in California when Art Laffer moved to Tennessee, and it hasn't improved since he left. Siamak Korami is a documentarian. He's also the host of California Insider and editor of the Epoch Times Southern California edition. And he's got a new documentary out called Leaving California. Here's a little bit of it.
The homeless problem is getting worse. It's not getting better. Crime is getting worse. It's not getting better. Regulations are getting worse. It's not getting better.
People are bailing on California in record numbers.
More than half of Californians are considering moving.
It might be harder to find a U-Haul than to find your next home.
The exodus of people moving out of California is not new.
No sane person would want to leave California if they could make it here.
For the first time ever, people are leaving.
In 2020, California lost 650,000 people.
Several high-profile companies have moved their headquarters.
This place is going to sink. Watch, they already have high taxes.
Our problems are man-made. All you have to do is pay attention.
It's the money that's doing the talking, the California legislature. It can't go on forever like this.
There's a lot of people that you would be surprised by their stories.
Well, stories like the story we told you last week, Eli Steele.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of documentarians, our documentarian friend, son of Shelby Steele, his car broken into in San Francisco, $30,000 of camera equipment stolen. They're waiting for police to arrive to the break-in of his vehicle,
And other cars are
which
getting
never
broken.
happened.
Yeah.
And they're watching other cars get broken into. Stories like this. In January, Shannon Collier Gwynn, a 71-year-old art gallery owner, arrested for spraying a hose at a homeless woman who camped in front of his business. The woman often had been heard screaming in the middle of the night. "I'm completely broke," Mr. Gwynn said in an apology. "I'm not equipped to train or to deal with a citywide problem like this." And neither are a lot of other residents who fled San Francisco in particular. Half the retailers have closed since 2020.
Wow.
In the Westfield San Francisco Center, big mall. You've heard the exodus. We've documented the exodus. Even if Whole Foods can't make it in San Francisco. San Francisco has lost 7.5% of its population in the last 3 years.
Oh, and by the way, Gavin Newsom was on with Sean Hannity, and he blamed the location of the Whole Foods. They should never have chosen that location. They should have chosen somewhere else instead of the actual problem.
Well, apparently San Francisco shouldn't have chosen its location either. 7.5% of its population is left. That's a larger share than any other major city. And it's largely the exodus being led by the affluent. About 14,700 San Francisco taxpayers with an average adjusted gross income of $415,000 moved to other states in 2020 and 2021. And, of course, this is not dissimilar to what you're hearing and seeing out of Manhattan or Chicago. For more on the California example specifically, pleased to be joined by the aforesaid documentarian, Siamak Korami. Siamak, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, thank you for having me.
So, the stories of California, coming out of California, like San Francisco in particular, well documented. What are, from the investigative work you did to put together this film, what are some of the takeaways in terms of where you think this is going and maybe the cautions for other major cities around the country?
In California, the reason we made this movie, there's a lot of information out there about the exodus, but there's not a lot of talk about why. So we actually went deeper to analyze what's going on. Why is the crime up? Why is the homelessness the way it is? Why do we have the cost of living being so high? So we went deeper, and we actually got to the policies that the state has. And a lot of these policies are well-intentioned, and they're incremental policies that add up, and then they cause the criminal justice system to break down, for example, or they cause something major to break. But the media is not really digging deep into these issues. As a result of it, the average residents here have no idea why we have the problems we have. And so we dug deep to figure that out and show them what's going on. And there's a huge disconnect between the policymakers and the average residents. And they're doing things at the expense of the residents without really understanding the outcome.
Well, like what? I mean, every major city seems to have politicians that have different names but the same policies. What is particularly unique about San Francisco, L.A., or the state of California?
So one thing about crime is we've decriminalized theft. So theft is legal now. Under $950, you steal as many times as you want. You can go to one store, steal up to $950, and go to another store, steal another $950. And if you get caught, then you get a ticket. It would be a misdemeanor, but you get a ticket, and it doesn't matter how many times you steal. So essentially, we have kind of legalized theft. If you want to go do drugs and live on the streets, and you're going to spend thousands of dollars, and you need this money, you can go to these Whole Foods, these kind of stores, and just take whatever you want, and then go and sell them, and then spend it on drugs. So we have, in a city like San Francisco, we have actually, we are allowing people to be in the streets, do drugs, and take whatever they need from the stores. Meanwhile, we are hearing that a lot of these homeless encampments that are very visible are controlled by gangs and drug dealers. So essentially, we have had policies, and the reason we have these policies is we wanted this law that passed, we actually voted for this proposition called Proposition 47 a few years ago. We wanted to actually go deal with the root cause of the crime, so we decriminalized drugs. But I think these policies have gone too far. But the media is not really connecting the dots. So if you look at the big papers in San Francisco, they're not even acknowledging crime is up because the statistics are not showing it. The statistics are not showing it because people have given up on reporting on crime.
So in your documentary, Leaving California, The Untold Story, do you address how homelessness became so out of control, not only in San Francisco, but in Los Angeles, and then I was San Diego. There's so many towns where you just have these huge encampments, and they look scary.
Yeah, and we go deep into understanding what's going on in these encampments. And what we're hearing is that they're controlled by gangs. And if you want to set up a tent and you are not doing drugs, you're not doing any illegal activities, you have to pay tax to the people that control that street. It looks like it's a devious society that we've set up. So we go deep into that. We also go into other things and a lot of times what happens with Californians is they see one thing. So if you live in LA, you live in San Francisco, you may see the homelessness. But then if you're in another area, you might have your kids go to the public school system. You see a little bit of it. You don't see the whole picture. And this documentary helps people see the whole picture and connect the dots. That it's not just homelessness, it's not just crime, it's everywhere. And
also the response too. I mean, the asinine responses, like newly minted Mayor Karen Bass, who wants to mandate that private hotel owners provide rooms at whatever rate the city sets for homeless people if they have any occupancy, if they have any open rooms. And it does, whether hotel owners want to do that or not. I mean, that's the sort of response you get from these imperious politicians. And maybe, I don't know, there's a lack of general understanding of the approaches that are being taken by the local pols.
Absolutely. So we are told that homelessness is about cost of living and lack of affordable housing or housing. But when you go into the streets and you go deeper, you dig into it, you realize that there's a complete different story. And the minute that you question that mainstream narrative, which is homelessness is about poverty, you're going to get a lot of pressure from the media, from everyone, right. From the active social media activists. They're going to come after you. So we're kind of watching this as it's happening, and it's getting to the point where people can see some of it, but the goal for us is to show Californians what's going on. There's another part with cost of living. Cost of living here is significantly higher than other states. Like the cost of gasoline is 40% higher than the national average. And a lot of it has to do with the policies. All of it has to do with the policies of the state, but they're incremental, and nobody digs deep to say, okay, why is it higher here? And average people here think it's a sunshine tax. We have to pay more because we live in California.
You
but they're all tied to policy.
You came to California from Iran by way of Mexico City. What did you anticipate when you made your way, you and your family made your way to California, and what do you think about, thinking back on what you expected versus what now you're living? What's your perspective? When
I came to California, it was like paradise. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. It was safe. It was sunny. Everything was great, and there was a lot of opportunities. The standard of living was very high. And then in the last couple of decades, I see the decay happening. The standard of living is going down. Crime and theft, when I lived in San Diego, it's like you could not even picture or think about theft being the way it would be. It's a shock how much change has happened here in the last decade or so.
Wow. Have you thought about doing a sequel of Leaving Illinois?
Not yet, because I don't know Illinois well, but we're really focused on California.
Yeah, it's a very similar story, unfortunately. You could do this could be a whole series: leaving New York, leaving New Jersey, leaving Connecticut. We know where people are leaving from and where they're going to. Sayamak Karami is the host of California Insider, the editor of the Epoch Times Southern California edition, and he's got a new documentary, as we were discussing, that's available on our platform, Salem Now. It's called Leaving California, The Untold Story. Sayamak Karami, thanks for joining us. Good luck with the film.
Thank you, Dan and Amy. Have a great one.
Yes, thank you. You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Sean Thompson, and I'm proud to tell you about the great work of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, a new partner of ours here at AM 560. Born on America's darkest day of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been helping America's heroes ever since. When a first responder or military service member doesn't come home and young children are left behind, Tunnel to Towers pays the mortgage on the family home to lift the financial burden and bring stability. For catastrophically injured veterans and first responders, Tunnel to Towers builds mortgage-free smart homes, giving our most severely injured heroes the ability to live more independent lives. You can help America's heroes and their families by supporting the Tunnel to Towers Foundation when you make a small donation of just $11 a month. Go to T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org. T2T.org.
Guys, a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and be sure to go to a provider you can trust. I've been recommending my friends at Low T Center for 8 years. It's where I get my levels checked. Low T Center exclusively specializes in men's wellness. They check all your levels, not just your testosterone. and determine the cause of any symptoms you're having and whether you're a candidate for low T or something else like low thyroid or sleep apnea. Typically, their annual health assessment is completely covered by health insurance, and they check everything, including PSA, your prostate levels, as well as thyroid, liver and kidney function, cholesterol, glucose levels, and more. Low T Center has affordable and convenient options for treatment, including monitored self-inject treatment that ships directly to you each month, so there's no need to come to the center each week. Make your health a priority and schedule your annual health assessment at Low T Center today. It's covered by most health insurance or less than $100 cash pay. Visit lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Yeah, it's not just you. A lot of people are wondering why so many big corporations are actively promoting ideas and values that their own customers don't support. And honestly, this is another reason MediShare is so attractive to people who don't want to use their own healthcare dollars to pay for things they don't believe in. MediShare is the refreshing alternative. They're a nonprofit ministry. It's a community of like-minded Christians helping each other live healthy lifestyles. There are more than 400,000 members now, and they save a lot, too. Most families save around $500 a month. And member satisfaction surveys consistently show they like it much more than health insurance. So for you, maybe it's time. Find out how you can not only save, but freely choose to be part of something you believe in. Here's the number you can call now, 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE, 844-47-BIBLE.
All right. Fruits and vegetables, they're the key. There's nature's way of keeping you healthy. I have a strong, healthy immune system, I believe, because I eat a well-balanced diet, but not with fruits and veggies that you get at the Jewels. I take Balance of Nature, 31 whole fruits and vegetables, real food, real science, real nutrition. There's no preservatives, no chemicals, no dyes. What they do is they take the fruits and vegetables and they turn them into powder after an advanced vacuum cold process, which stabilizes the maximum nutrient content. I have increased energy, ability to keep doing the things that I love even as I get older. So take charge, feel better, and get the nutrition your body needs and the nutrition your body craves. Once you start taking it, it's hard to live without it. So this is the number to call, folks, 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Be sure to use discount code Chicago or simply go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to use discount code Chicago.
If you are 65 or older, you know this. Watching your hard-earned dollars fly out the window on healthcare costs is so frustrating. But here's some great news. If you were just notified that your Medicare costs are increasing, a program out there can really help you with your medical bills, and it's worth taking a minute to look into. MediShare 65 Plus. It's not insurance. Members actually say it's better. It's a Christian healthcare community that aligns with your faith and where people encourage and pray for you. And MediShare 65 Plus is a low-cost option for those with Medicare Parts A and B, and it fills in the gaps where Medicare stops. You choose any Medicare provider, and you get telehealth access anytime you need it. And this is great, too. Unlike health insurance, you can lock in one low monthly price for up to 10 years. So don't get stuck with increasing costs. Call MediShare 65 Plus and find out how much you can save. Call 855-PSALM-32. That's 855-PSALM-32. 855-PSALM-32.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This is just coming over the transom. What I feared. A Washington Post reporting, Hunter Biden reaches deal to plead guilty in tax and gun case. Looks like he's going to plead guilty to 3 federal charges and face
no jail time,
probation.
Oh, of course. 2 years probation.
Exactly what we discussed. Now's the time to get him out front. You got to take the hit on these obvious charges, tax evasion, gun case, the gun application. And then they can run around and say, look, the U.S. Attorney in Delaware has
done his job,
struck a blow for justice, and the Bidens are not above the law. Why would Trump think he's above the law? And so on and so forth, as Hunter Biden is the fall guy for the entire Biden Inc. operation. But, of course, pleading guilty to the tax evasion charges prompts other questions. Oh, really? So you're not reporting income. What else about the income that you didn't report may redound to other members of your family as the House Oversight Committee is documenting all of these transfers to other Biden family members? I think we're up to 9 at this point. So a lot here. We're just coming over the wire. So Mike Scott, I'm sure we'll have an update and we'll get more details and discuss it as well.
This took almost 5 years in the making to get a plea, for him to be charged, even, plead guilty to the gun charge, because we're coming up in a few more months, it'll be marked 5 years. So they really, really dragged their feet on the 2 tax misdemeanor charges and the gun case.
Drag their feet. 5 years. 5 years to come up with misdemeanors that are probationary, that result in probationary sentence, and an obvious gun charge that just sort of black letter law. That took 5 years. And this is what they're going to call justice. Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll have more on Biden's boy with the addiction problem, as well as an update on Willowbrook and the individual who was killed on Sunday morning at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
65 degrees at 8:29 on AM 560, The Answer. President Biden's son Hunter has reached a tentative deal with federal prosecutors, pleading guilty to what we understand are 2 very minor tax crimes and admit to the facts of a gun charge under terms that may keep him out of jail and give him as little as 2 years probation. That according to court papers filed Tuesday. However, we also understand any proposed deal, as is typical, would have to be approved by a federal judge, and it's not immediately clear whether the 53-year-old may have to appear in court to enter a guilty plea. U.S. Coast Guard is racing against time, trying to find a missing vessel used to explore the Titanic wreck. Rear Admiral John Mauger of the Coast Guard says they're using search and rescue resources in the air and on the water about 900 miles east of Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Former President Donald Trump is tearing into Quinnipiac and Fox News for a poll that shows him behind President Biden in a presidential matchup. Trump writing on Truth Social that it's just an old poll and a bad poll. Speaking to Fox News and Brett Baer on Monday, Donald Trump said he still believes he won the 2020 election, and there's never been a full investigation.
Wisconsin has practically admitted it was rigged. Other states are doing the same right now.
During the interview, Trump was pressed by Brett Baer on the fact that National Archives did subpoena him. Former president then said the boxes of documents were interspersed with personal things. We're also following a ongoing investigation in Kansas this morning where suspicious white powder letters are growing. The FBI now says they're investigating as many as 100 letters that were sent to Kansas state officials since late last week. Authorities have identified the man killed in a mass shooting over the weekend near Willowbrook. Reginald Meadows died after gunfire erupted near a strip mall parking lot close to Route 83. As of Monday afternoon, no one had been arrested for the shooting. And State Representative Mike Marin says taking guns away from law-abiding people has not worked, even though he says that's what Governor J.B. Pritzker wants more than anything else.
I thought we fixed this. I mean, they claim that they fixed this. We banned assault weapons and we did all this, and that was supposed to fix this, but it didn't. And
the incident remains under investigation. There is no one in custody. Chicago police are investigating after a shooting and crash on the southwest side that killed 1 and severely injured 3 others near the intersection of 79th and Columbus. No one hurt after a helicopter crashes into a lake in northwest Indiana. The pilot and passenger were able to get out and swim to shore. Cubs blanked the Pirates 8-0. Sox lost to the Rangers 5-2. The news, a service of Cabino Environmental. Home and business owners, Use Cabino Oil Stain Remover because it's the most powerful oil stain lifting formula on the market. Cabino Oil Stain Remover is available at all 8 Rental Max locations. 8:33, and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher can't picture 4 more years.
White House officials generally leave President Biden alone over the weekend to avoid tiring an aging president. This is incredible. There's no way he can make a campaign. It's impossible.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Man, you talk about hitting a grand slam, just feeling just incredible. And I mean, I haven't felt this great in years. I'm 52, and with these, wow, it's just given me the energy every day to continue to do the exercises. And I just appreciate the doctor for what he's done. I'm impressed. I'm just become a new man with energy. I've never felt this great. I just want to say thank you to you guys.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
It seems like everyone is on a complicated diet these days. Gluten-free, keto, metabolic, sugar-free. And with these diets comes special dietary protocol and food products. You can find plenty of advice on your social media sites, but you need expertise to purchase the right food items. A visit to Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop is necessary to shop the best food choices for a medical diet or health plan. Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop stocks all the hard-to-find foods you're looking for, like wheat and dairy alternatives, sugar-free baking mixes, healthy snacks, and more. There's no longer a reason to put off that diet you're supposed to be on when you have Lil's. The staff has personally researched and vetted each item in the store and has plenty of choices in stock.
Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop on 111th Street in Mount Greenwood on the south side of Chicago. Stop in and shop in person or order online at lilsdietary.com and get your items shipped right to your home. lilsdietary.com. Shop, learn, and be healthy.
8:36. Let's get an update on the roads. Of course, we do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. It is a service of Irish Spring. The fresh scent of Irish Spring and those sensational Irish Spring suds are the reset you need to own the day. You're ready. Pick up Irish Spring at your local retailer today. Dan Ryan right now is at 30 minutes, 95th into the Burn Circle interchange. You're jammed up in the locals between Garfield and Roosevelt. Kusaba Lakeshore Drive, heavy and slow northbound between Soldier Field and Monroe. A person on the roadway being investigated as a possible medical emergency eastbound on the Reagan near Eola Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny and 83 today, clear and 63 overnight. Currently, we have 69 degrees at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, today at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We got law enforcement issues nationally and locally. Let's start nationally. As we mentioned, it's now being reported everywhere. Hunter Biden has apparently reached a deal with the U.S. Attorney in Delaware to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and a gun charge that will not result in an actual, that's not actually part of a plea agreement, that'll be dismissed per a pretrial diversionary program and agreement to said diversionary program, not subject to the plea agreement.
Why do we have rules in place then? Okay.
The attorney for Hunter Biden, Chris Clark, with the announcement of 2 agreements between my client and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Delaware, it is my understanding that the 5-year investigation into Hunter is resolved. He'll take responsibility for 2 instances of misdemeanor failure to file tax payments pursuant to a plea agreement. Okay. I know Hunter believes it's important to take responsibility for these mistakes he's made during a period of turmoil and addiction in his life. He looks forward to continuing his recovery and moving forward. Wonderful. Well, that tidies that up,
okay,
right?
Well, they did their job. Nothing to see here, folks. Move on. I mean, if he's into taking responsibility, then he should fork over the money he owes for the love child that he has. That court case is still not settled yet. But this taxable income, what income and how much money and by what company were you given that you didn't file taxes on?
Well, it's
lots of questions.
The agreement has been made. Let's move on. Let's close this ugly chapter and focus on Trump.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could always reach us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
As speaking of imperiousness, we've gotten a lot of it from federal law enforcement. Now I'm getting it from local law enforcement, so we'll twin these 2 stories. Yesterday morning, I texted Jim Mendrick, who's the DuPage County Sheriff, to come on the show. Here was my text. Jim, Dan Proft here. Can you come on our show this morning to update us on the Willowbrook shooting? No reply until about 15 minutes ago. And here was his reply to, will you come on the show and update us on the Willowbrook shooting?
22 shot, 1 dead. Okay.
His reply is, you obviously have no comprehension of what an active investigation is. Your priorities are sad, and I'm sorry a little airtime is more important to you than catching the offenders. Go ahead and add that to your broadcasting, which I have now done.
What? It was such a nice, simple question that you asked, and he replies with such a hateful response. What does that go? What?
And this morning, I mentioned this question that we have. I'm not asking the sheriff's office to disclose anything they don't want to disclose. Certainly not to disclose anything related to them trying to identify the shooter or shooters from Sunday morning. But I did say that the idea that sheriff's police were on site, the story is they were called away by a 911 call.
Right.
But we have eyewitness testimony, 150 cars, 300 people. They're on property they apparently did not have legal right to be on. Why didn't the sheriff's deputies disperse the crowd when they were on site before they were called away as the crowd was gathering? That's a legitimate question that has nothing to do with identifying any of the assailants. But Jim doesn't want to answer those questions.
Well, also, too, if there are any minors, they could have gotten them kicked off the property with curfew violations because it was 12:43 a.m. when the mass shooting occurred.
So go ahead and add that to your broadcasting.
Wow.
So my response is, okay, Jim, I'll be sure to do that. Take the imperious FBI G-man approach rather than communicate to the public what you can. You want to hi-hat me? Be my guest. His response, I'm having a little text war.
Oh, this is fun.
Now I want to I want to catch the offenders, and talking about what we're doing lessens our chances of a successful arrest. While you were barbecuing this weekend, we've been working this case. Don't talk like you're some awesome social warrior. So I said,
oh boy,
I'm not asking you to comment on what you're doing. Okay, hero, pound sand. Go frack yourself. You think because you're the DuPage County Sheriff, you're going to talk to me or anybody else like that, asking a simple question about what happened? You don't think that the public has a right to know, the residents in and around Willowbrook have the right to know why your men and women were on site, and this gathering occurred apparently improperly, and you didn't disperse the crowd? That's a question. Is that an illegitimate question? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. While you were out barbecuing. Oh, God, right. While you were out barbecuing. First of all, I don't barbecue. I don't cook at all. Secondly, I was playing golf and watching the U.S. Open, actually. Secondly, I respect the job law enforcement does, as I think I've made pretty clear over the years on this show. But I don't respect the idea that you think you're beyond reproach because you're the sheriff. You don't think you don't have to answer questions or communicate because you're the sheriff. This is one of those nobody's above the law, nobody's beyond reproach, including Jim Mendrick, who I used to think was a sensible law and order guy, which I actually said yesterday, and now I don't. Simple as that. There you go. Oh, by the way, since we're talking about it, your guys characterizing the congregation as a peaceful Juneteenth celebration. Is that really what it was at 12:30 in the morning? Sheriff Jim? Shall I keep going? Since you want this added to the broadcast, you got it added, buddy. Is that what it was? Who believes that? I don't think you need a badge to... You just need a little common sense to recognize that 300 people in a strip mall at 12:30 in the morning in Willowbrook is not a Juneteenth celebration, or not an appropriate one. Do you? Or do I got it wrong? Please tell me. Let's hear from law enforcement. I'm not law enforcement, never claimed to be. Let's hear from experts. Sheriff Jim. So defensive, though. I mean, that comment, and also, too, that we don't want to, hurt the investigation. We wouldn't ask questions. I mean, basic question. Do you have anybody in custody? Are you asked? Because they are asking the public for videotapes. If anybody videotaped or shot, we need your help. Here's something else, too. We ask you a question, you don't want to answer it? Don't answer it. Say, I can't answer it. Ongoing investigation or some such thing. Yeah, we're not going to jeopardize your investigation. At least the FBI, that goon squad, at least they appear before Congress, appear before the media when they're whistled to offer some sort of explanation to what they are or not doing. And to say, dismiss you out of hand. I mean, who the hell do you think you are? Sheriff? He's feeling guilty about something, I can tell you that. The guy that was killed, this 31-year-old, dad of two, and there's a GoFundMe page shut up, and his family hired an attorney to sue the strip mall owner. Yeah, for wrongful death. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of the official narrative, we don't know what happened that night. I don't know. I don't pretend to know how that 31-year-old was killed. I know that 31-year-old dad of two at a mall and Father's Day weekend, 12:30 in the morning, with two kids ostensibly at home. We know a lot about Reggie Meadows now because we pulled his rap sheet. Did you do that yet, Jim? Sheriff Jim? Yeah. This guy's been a menace to DuPage County for some time, it appears. I'm looking at a partial rap sheet. Stops and arrests in Hinsdale, Darien, Downers Grove, Woodridge, Burr Ridge, Lyle. Some just, moving violations. I'm not going to, worry about that. I've had more than my share of, speeding tickets and so forth. But home invasion. Oh, that's big. Attempted robbery. That's big. Trespass to residence. DUI. Bigger issue. Attempt fleeing or attempting to elude police officers in motor vehicle. Oh, boy. And that was the DuPage County Sheriff's Office. Huh. Jim? I mean, that was back in 21. Yeah. I also understand from look at civil court records, he's not paid his rent, or has had trouble over the years paying his rent at the Acclaim apartment complex in which he lives, which is right next door, which has been, as we reported earlier in the show, a source of trouble for some time. Stories of violence occurring in and around that apartment complex that date back to 2012 when a Hinsdale South grad was gunned down around there. So since that's unincorporated Willowbrook, the province of the DuPage County Sheriff's Office, what you been doing, Sheriff Jim, about that problem spot in Willowbrook?
Sounds like your sheriff friend is under a lot of pressure.
Kara in Orlando, Florida. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
You know what? Tell them to go to Gibson's. Tell them to go to Gibson's. You know, did you interrupt that? We the people. These people work for us. I don't care who you know. I don't care who your donors are. You work for us, and you should answer to the media. And if you're not, and I'm coming off the Stairmaster, so I sound crazy, then you're part of the problem. You are part of the problem. Enjoy your steak and lobster that you don't pay for, buddy. That's
Thanks, Kara.
Text message, defund Sheriff Jim.
Greg, Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. You know, our police, sheriffs, ATF, everything, IRS, are all out of control. And these guys keep doing this stuff where they go in on regular people and, arrest them for all kinds of stuff and taking documents and everything else. Yet they can't do what they're supposed to be doing. They need to have policemen get malpractice insurance like doctors. They need to pay them more money and then let them pay them out of the pocket their insurance. Because when they start doing stupid stuff, instead of, screwing us, the taxpayers, for hundreds of millions of dollars, like in Chicago, the police can pay for this. That'll weed out the morons and get rid of idiots like this guy. Have a good one.
Did he refer to you as a social warrior?
Yeah, don't try to come off like you're some social warrior. I'm not trying to come off as a
Dear
social
Lord.
warrior. Social warrior. I'm not. I can't ask Sheriff Jim questions.
It was a simple question. Hey, can you update us on the situation? Call into the show. That was it.
Maybe,
and it was met with such hatred.
Maybe we wouldn't be asking questions into the abyss if Sheriff Jim would communicate with the public. If you don't want to come on our show, don't come on our show. Have a press conference to communicate what you can communicate to the public. That's your duty, actually, as a elected official. That's your duty, Sheriff Jim, with the badge.
And how hard is it just to tell us the ages of those who were shot? 3 days out.
Bob in Plainfield.
Hello. Hi. I've been in DuPage County law enforcement for 37 years and worked a lot of task force homicide cases. I'm extremely disappointed with the communication from the sheriff. I thought he was a better man, and I thought it odd that it went dark from his office. He should have been out front with this, or his deputy, his chiefs under him, but completely dark.
Well, I mean, Bob, since you're law enforcement, I mean, this is not like a great insight on my part. It's like the obvious question everybody's asking. Sheriff's police were on site. Sheriff's police briefed the media after the carnage, and so we know they were there. Well, why didn't you break it up before it escalated? I mean, that's just an obvious question, isn't it?
It is, and it's what I've been asking. And I want to make clear, I'm not working this case, but I have worked mass shootings, including the mass shooting at the Oakbrook Mall. And I know how these operations work, and it just befuddles me, the lack of communication from the higher-ups in his office to the public. And let's be clear, the sheriff makes no steps to actually investigate the crime. He's a politician, so he doesn't actively handle any aspect of the investigation.
Yeah. Oh, he's out there while I'm barbecuing, Bob.
Oh,
he's out there cracking the case.
Yeah, well, we can pray that they find the offenders, but there had to be multiple shooters with 23 people wounded, 1 killed. You're probably looking at 5 to 10 different shooters, and my understanding is a lot of the people are not cooperating, so you may wind up with a big fat zero when it comes to the offender in this case.
Right.
The offenders.
Yeah, the witnesses said 2 groups just started shooting at each other.
Phil and Darian.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, Dan, what's your newsman's name?
Mike Scott.
Yeah, Mike. I want to commend him for saying something that nobody ever says. It was an illegal gathering. So do you guys both do me a favor when you talk about this story in the upcoming days and the rest of today? Can you please describe it as that? An illegal gathering. Number two, did you guys see that parking lot, how filthy it was?
I know. I hate garbage, and they just need to clean it up. Well, they're preserving the evidence. They took, all the shell casings. They marked all of them. But, yeah, it was a bloody mess, too.
Yeah, but I'm saying that parking lot, the way it looks, does that look like a nice, peaceful, happy celebration to you, the way that looks?
Wow.
Yeah, the way they described it, it was a peaceful gathering that turned violent.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Violent. Thanks for the call, Phil.
Then it was never peaceful.
Vince in St. Charles.
Good morning, guys. Dan, like you says, it's his job to give information. He's arrogant, and there's a lot worse crimes that are done, and a sheriff will go up there to the news media and have no information, but he'll answer questions and from the media with no problem. This guy is arrogant, and all the stuff that's coming from Cook to DuPage County with a sheriff like that is in deep trouble.
Thanks for the call, Vince. Jack in Northwest Indiana.
I think the answer is plain and simple, and that is fear of retribution among the woke crowd. There's no doubt that if they intervened earlier and if they tried to break it up, you can imagine the national coverage that would have occurred showing how a bunch of police officers broke up a mostly peaceful celebration of a Juneteenth event. That's the simple answer. This guy was in a pickle no matter what he did. Shame on him, but I can certainly understand where he came from because...
Well, we don't know because he's not communicating.
Right.
So he has to answer that question. However he answers it, but he can't dodge it.
Were they going to party there all night until the 5 a.m. in the morning and not say something and not intervene?
By the way, yeah, well, that's a question, right? So how long were you going to let it go on?
Right.
By the way, since Kara off the Stairmaster referred to, go to Gibson's, she's obviously in the know. Gibson's is where Sheriff Jim has his fundraisers. Yeah, Sheriff Jim Mendrick does answer questions. Okay, Sheriff Jim, you wanted a broadcast? Now it's broadcast.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Dan Migatz, co-owner and CFO of AM Woodland Outdoor Design in Mundelein, and a new customer of Signature Bank. We specialize in the creative design and construction of outdoor living spaces, providing our residential and commercial customers first-in-class landscaping services. Our company was founded as a one-man operation, and today has grown into a multifaceted, one-stop shop for outdoor and indoor design and contracting needs. Signature Bank was there to provide the capital needed to grow our expansion efforts. We wanted to work with a bank that understands our business and is relationship-focused. Signature Bank is what a relationship bank is all about. We're excited to continue our partnership for many years to come.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Structural foundation problems? Permaseal can help. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. Last year's severe drought has homeowners across Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana experiencing symptoms of structural foundation issues. Cracked brickwork or caulking, uneven floors, new cracks in the drywall or ceiling, doors or windows that no longer open or shut properly, or basement walls that are leaning or bowing. All of these can be signs of a structural foundation issue. Too often we hear of homeowners paying for an expensive consultation just to determine the problem. Don't be one of them. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL. Our certified structural consultants will thoroughly evaluate your foundation and offer you a permanent solution at absolutely no charge. Life's frustrating enough. Let's fix what we can and avoid even bigger problems. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Man, you talk about hitting a grand slam, just feeling just incredible. And I haven't felt this great in years. I'm 52, and with these, it's just given me the energy every day to continue to do the exercises. And I just appreciate the doctor for what he's done. I'm impressed. I'm just become a new man with energy. I've never felt this great. I just want to say thank you to you guys.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Turbulent times call for clear-headed insight. That's hard to come by these days, especially on TV. That's where we come in. The new Salem News Channel, the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. Home to the people you trust. Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Refreshingly honest, always unfiltered. Streaming free on your TV 24/7. Intelligent analysis for intelligent people. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. That's snc.tv. AM 560, The Answer.
Quick text message. Dan and Amy, I may be mistaken, but Sheriff Jim was very eager to come on your show when he was running in the election.
Not mistaken.
Yeah.
That's right.
He did. He came on our program.
That's right. Well, he got on our program another way today. Congratulations, Sheriff Jim.
Just give us the answers. All right. Thank you so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
President Biden's son Hunter has reached a tentative agreement with federal prosecutors. Fox with the very latest coming up on that story. WIND